Ladies and gentlemen, very good evening. A warm welcome to you here from the UK. We're here ready to bring you the live coverage of Stage 4 of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour from Mansfield to Mount Buller today. We're just experiencing a little technical difficulty from the host broadcaster. We're looking to get that ironed out as soon as possible and bring you live coverage as soon as we can. But bear with us while we get those technical difficulties ironed out, and thank you for your patience. Ladies and gentlemen, apologies again for the delay to the start of transmission today. We are experiencing some slight technical difficulties with the stream from the host broadcaster. I can tell you that the race has got underway and we've got a breakaway trying to get itself established. We are working with the hosts to get this issue solved as soon as possible. Please do bear with us, leave us a comment, let us know where you're watching from today. And we'll do our very best to get pictures to you as soon as possible. Thanks for bearing with us. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, apologies for the lack of pictures so far. We do have pictures available, but they're not of the best quality. I know you all want to see the Jayco Herald Sun Tour, so what I might do is just put the race images up as they are, and just to say, excuse the slight stutteriness, and hopefully the issue will be resolved as soon as possible. But in this case, I think some pictures are better than no pictures, so I'll see what I can do. Bear with me. Well, here we are, live pictures for you. Excuse the slight choppiness and the lack of audio. The audio is a little bit glitchy at the moment. As I say, we're doing our very best to try and get the issue resolved as soon as possible for you. But this is the state of play at the moment. We rolled out from Mansfield this morning, 106.6 kilometre stage. And we've got 97 kilometres to go, and as you can see, the Breakaway is still trying to establish itself in the early part of the stage. And some riders from EF Pro Cycling looking to get away. Of course, Jay Hindley in the leader's yellow jersey. And it will certainly be one for the climbers today, with a summit finish up Mount Buller. I'll leave you with the race pictures, and do apologise for the lack of audio. We'll be trying to get it back as soon as we can. Ladies and gentlemen, many apologies for the lack of pictures. We can bring you a transmission. Picture quality is not the best, I must say, but we do have audio back, so we will bring you that as soon as we can. Please do bear with us.
He got in the break on day one, got the King of the Mountains points. Probably wasn't someone on our radar as commentators that we picked to win that category. He then actually climbed really well, and on the final day got in the breakaway and collected the points again and won the jersey in the end. And he had to go over the top of Wollonga Hill the first time and get points to win, because the summit finish also had big points on offer. And, you know, presuming it was going to be Richie Porter, one of those sort of top-tier riders. Anyway, credit to the American. He just played his cards really well all week and delivered for his CCC team. So
it was an impressive result. Ben Perry now back with the team car, having a conversation. Sports director for Israel Startup Nation, Eric Van Lanker, a winner of Liège, Bastogne-Liège. I think it was in 1990 that he won that race.
Not a bad guy to have in the car.
He was riding for Panasonic at the time.
Yeah, he was as a kid growing up watching cycling, he was one of my sort of, I was about to say heroes. He was one of my second-tier heroes, if I could say that. I knew who he was, and I was, wow.
You're allowed to have tiers.
I did. Well,
heroes.
Obviously, Phil Anderson, being an Australian, was probably my number one. Greg LeMond was just incredible, but guys like Eric Van Lanker, I certainly knew who he was.
The green jersey, Bright Brewery points classification, that is Alberto Danesi. He was the winner of stage one. He was second on yesterday's stage behind Kaden Groves, but he is riding here in support of the yellow jersey, Jai Hindley. He's loaded up with water bottles. He weighs an extra 3 kilos.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
And as a neo-professional, that will give him plenty of credits. The team have worked for him, delivered him to a stage win already. Now he returns that favour. And as a sprinter doing that, that's where the team, they'll give him a pat on the back today. And certainly it helps your cause if your contract's up and you've been doing all those things throughout the 12-month period. Teams don't forget that.
This is the back of the breakaway group. Michael Rice for the ARA Pro Racing Sunshine Coast team. They're not too far away from hitting the bottom of the climb, David. In fact, they're 5 kilometres away from hitting the bottom of the climb, the Old Tony Road climb. And it's one that Simon Gerrans, who's the only Australian to have won 2 monuments, Milan-San Remo and Liège-Bastogne-Liège, the race we were just talking about with Eric Van Lanker. He used to do repeats up this climb 10 times.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, it's any wonder. Simon Gerrans was a world beater. The country that he's been able to train around, these roads here, this is his territory. This is where he grew up. And, of course, Phil Anderson as well, in fact, in retirement, moved here. And I'm not sure if he discovered Simon, but he certainly saw the talent in Simon, gave him a little bit of a helping hand in his really early days. And, yeah, Simon did the rest, didn't he? And governed Simon, but he certainly saw the talent in Simon, gave him a little bit of a helping hand in his really early days. And, yeah, Simon did the rest, didn't he? And I think he holds the record, in fact. I think he holds, I don't know if it's on Strava, but he holds the record up Mount Buller as well, I've been told, the last
was training with lead weights in his wheels. So he on group rides and other guys were thinking, I've got Gero's measure. Where he was training with lead weights in his wheels. So he on group rides and other guys were thinking, I've got Gero's measure, as he was going up climbs. Yeah. Take the heavy wheels out, put the carbon wheels in on race day, and he'd ride off into the distance.
Yeah, he was an exceptional rider, as we know. His results tell that story, but it's the backstory.
Measure to quantify. He did all those 1%ers off the bike that don't require talent, they require discipline.
Yes, yeah, and we both know
it's hard to measure, to quantify. He did all those 1%ers off the bike that don't require talent, they require discipline.
Yes, yeah, and we both know and have seen Simon
95 at the back of the group. This is Michael Potter. He was in that initial Breakaway group of 22 riders. Good to see that the ARA Pro Racing Sunshine Coast team, they've still got a rider in the Breakaway, and that is Michael Rice.
Yeah, very good indeed. Well, we apologise again. Just a small break-up in pitches. Hopefully back with the race, but when we do come back to us, that's because we're just going through a couple of black spots. Nothing we can do about it. It's the mobile sort of black spot zones, but today should be quite good. Let's take a look at this magnificent Mount Buller.
Oh, it is a beautiful climb. There's plenty of switchbacks up near the top, and it gets steeper as it gets higher, and it is a climb that really builds. It's a lot shorter than Falls Creek, which they climbed on stage 2, but you could argue that it is tougher. And the final kilometre, David McKenzie, there are gradients of close to 20%.
It's a classic mountain because we've got the switchback. I think there's Hell Corner. They're appropriately named as well. So we've got two or three switchbacks inside that 1.5 kilometres, which just makes it really great viewing and great racing.
And it climbs to the finish line of around about 1,600 metres in altitude.
Yeah, correct. And look, there's a fair bit of development on Mount Buller now. It's a real sort of community up here on a 12-month basis. So they'll finish before the actual summit. You could probably climb another 200 metres to the actual peak. The road does go up a bit longer, but where we finished today is a beautiful spot.
They are magnificent, the switchbacks of Mount Buller. And there was famously a race back in the early 1990s, Melbourne to Mount Buller, 250 kilometres?
Yes, and it was, created by the owners, effectively, of on top of the mountain, who own the real estate.
Well, the Grollo family, they owned the Rialto building in the centre of Melbourne, which was then the highest building in Melbourne, and the A-Bomb, the main building on Mount Buller. So they went from one building to the other.
Literally started at the doorsteps of Melbourne's highest building.
Yep.
Out they rolled, out through 4 million people, a city of 4 million people, out through the central business district. It was a great race.
Let's take a look at the stage so far. Getting underway in the picturesque town of Mansfield. The green jersey at the front of Alberto Danesi. He's rolled today, though, to look after the yellow jersey of Jai Hindley. And it was a really aggressive start to the stage.
Yeah, it was. It was, it was what we expected. We expected it to go out of the blocks. They rolled out of beautiful Mansfield, though, under neutralisation. And I think they all knew what was coming. Would have been nice, pretty reasonably calm conditions down there. Jai Hindley getting the food in early, and then fairly quickly, as we say, they bolted out of the blocks. The breakaway went. Ben Hill didn't make any mistakes, taking the first of the intermediate sprints. No challenge there. The breakaway, they're not interested in that. You could see from that first sprint. And if they can stay away to the second one, he might indeed take that.
He now leads the race for the Bright Brewery points classification, so he's the virtual race leader in the battle for green. 4 points clear of Alberto Danesi and Kaden Groves. So Team Bridge Lane with a clear plan of putting Ben Hill in the breakaway, which they've done. He's the rider in the blue colours with the green shoes on. Aidan Tuvey, his teammate, just behind him wearing number 62, who provided the lead out at that intermediate sprint. From this breakaway group, it's the man in the pink colours, Yonas Rush, who's the best placed overall. He started the day at 2 minutes and 32 seconds behind the yellow jersey of Jai Hindley. So he's a virtual race leader. But you wouldn't expect him to be a genuine challenge on the final climb to the top of Mount Buller. I think the reason he's in the breakaway today is to make sure that his team doesn't need to do any work going to the bottom of the climb. And then there is a guarantee that there's somebody on hand on the climb to support their big prospect to win this race overall, Neilson Powless.
Yeah, and I think that you're absolutely right. So I think his goal in that breakaway is to get to the base of the climb, still ahead of the peloton. It might not be much, but even if he's got a minute, he just might be able to get a few kilometres up the climb and then offer support, as you say, to Powless. So it's a hard way to do it, but otherwise, if he sits back, like you say, he can't challenge for the overall if he sits back. He can help Powless, but he could get dropped early on, so this is a better option.
The peloton and the breakaway group, they're currently in a patch on the course where it's a bit of a black spot. We're having some difficulties with some coverage, so we're going to get back down to the start line. And before the stage got underway, Pat Shaw caught up with the race leader, Jai Hindley, and one of the men trying to take the yellow jersey off his shoulders, Neilson Powless.
Jai Hindley, Team Sunweb, leader of the tour. Well, today, this is where you expected to find an out on Mount Buller.
Yeah, for sure. It's a pretty decisive day on paper, and yeah, I think we'll have a clear leader in the jersey at the end of today.
Yeah, certainly. I think that it's going to be interesting to see how it's fought out on the climb. It's a different climb to Falls Creek, isn't it?
Yeah, I haven't done it before, but we drove up there yesterday after the stage, and looks like a bit steeper, and I think the finish is a bit harder as well. Yeah.
How about the early circuits and the windy conditions?
Yeah, I mean, usually I think our guys will try control, and then try to deliver me and the other climbers into the final climb as fresh as possible.
In the crosswinds, Alberto Danesi, your sprinter who's been in sublime form, he'll be important.
Yeah, I think so for sure. As along with the rest of the team, yeah. So everyone's been riding phenomenally well, and yeah, I can't thank the guys enough.
Can I ask you a little bit about Seb Berwick? He sits third on the general classification. He's the surprise packet so far. What do you think of his opportunities today?
Yeah, pretty good, I think. He was showed how strong he was on the falls, and it's good to see some young Aussie guys coming up. Yeah, pretty impressive ride by him. So.
Yeah, it's great to see one of the young riders that's banging in the World Tour now, Jai Henley, and he's talking about Seb Berwick as well. All the best today, and it's going to be a great stage.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Damien Howson, Mitchelton Scott, you sit in second place, just 4 seconds back. What's the plan today?
Yeah, obviously today's the Queen stage of the tour. I think it's a tougher climb than Falls Creek, so there's no hiding. There's all to play for really, and the strongest legs today will become the tour champion.
Well, they will. But yesterday, grippy day, wasn't it?
It was. It's something. It was earmarked as the breakaway stage, possibly a sprint, and obviously ended up in a sprint. But it was definitely a tough chase, and no one had an easy ride yesterday. So I think it was really important to get the recovery right, and that could be the difference between winning and losing today.
Certainly, I'm glad you pointed out that, because I was just going to ask you next, how does that change today's race, and particularly with windy conditions down at the start line in Mansfield?
Yeah, obviously the 15k climb up to the summit's the most crucial part of the tour, most likely, but it's about getting everything right from the start. The hydration and the food intake after yesterday's stage was crucial because of how hard the stage actually was. So we can all hope that we've got the best legs today, and that's all we can ask for.
Well, you're a previous winner. Who knows? Could be 2 editions after today. If you put yourself in the right position, all the best out there to you and your Mitchelton Scott teammates.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Good luck.
Just going to have a quick switch over, guys. Got a slightly smoother picture, which will hopefully be slightly nicer to look at. We'll switch over to you now.
Obviously for the Jayco Herald Sun Tour that we can now do this loop. I mean, I wouldn't have minded. I wouldn't have said no to a bit of gravel. It seems to be the in thing in professional racing, but probably for the riders' sake, they'd be happy to be on sealed roads today.
And that climb is used regularly throughout the Tour of Mansfield, which is on in March, and that's part of the Victorian Road Series. And it's an event that Simon Gerrans, who we've spoken about a bit already today, is an ambassador for. And he's super keen to support this region, particularly after the impact of the bushfires throughout the summer period here in Australia and in the high country. The area was evacuated, but it wasn't impacted directly by the bushfires in terms of any fires here. So it's back open for business, and the bike riding in this region is stunning.
It is, and this is at the top of Mount Buller. You can probably just get a slight view of the finish line gantry just there being finalised now. So it is really a community up here. There's more construction going on, more chalets being built. So obviously winter is their biggest month, or biggest months I should say, of business. But they're trying to turn it into a 4-season, holiday destination. And it's becoming that. It's I was out this morning just going for a little walk around. They had the pump track open. There were a few kids around that. There's permanent residents that live up here 12 months of the year. So it really is sustainable. And look, it is a great place. And just going back to that course we were talking about, the climb up Tolmi, for our international viewers, geographically speaking, if you continued on that road, it takes you back to the beautiful town of Bright, which is where we started yesterday's stage. So there's a range effectively that separates this mountain to the Falls Creek mountain range.
And it's a tough ride to get across to there. We're at the top of Mount Buller. We're awaiting the arrival of the race for the Optus Stage 4 of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. The Breakaway, they're still holding on to an advantage of 2 minutes and 30 seconds over the peloton. The most important part, though, of this stage is still to come.
It's exciting to be coming back to the Herald Sun Tour this year. I believe it's the first race that I've come to as defending champion, and being able to pin number 1 on my jersey is pretty cool. We've been here at Mitchelton Wines for the last couple of days since the Cadell Evans race. Absolutely enjoying it. It's the first time I've had the pleasure of staying here. So we've been enjoying these beautiful surroundings and eating some lovely local food and just generally relaxing. The accommodation here at Mitchelton Wines has been outstanding. For a race hotel, just a step above everything. Beautiful, comfortable rooms and nice pool and just lovely grounds around it. Every other race hotel's got a lot to live up to. We rode through Ngambie this morning. It was the first time I'd actually ridden through Ngambie. It's a really lovely little town actually there on the lake. We sat and had a coffee by the lake. But between training and racing, I like to eat a lot. I'm a bit of a foodie, so I enjoy eating good food and drinking coffee, spending time with friends, and just generally trying to not think about cycling too much actually, get away from it a little bit.
This is the beautiful town of Mansfield. It is the gateway to the Alpine Pass of Mount Buller, and it's the hometown of Simon Gerrans and a few other former Olympians as well, including Winter Olympians. It is renowned for its fabulous food. There's a great bakery in the heart of Mansfield. Likewise, there is a coffee roaster. It's got plenty of wineries. You can see the vineyards across the rolling terrain, and it's just 2 hours to the north of Melbourne. Also famous for the man from Snowy River. It is the base of Mount Buller. It's around about 30 kilometres from the base of Mount Buller, 2 hours to the north of Melbourne. You and I have spent plenty of time there in the past. The peloton, they didn't get their chance to relax there this morning because it was tense before the start of this stage.
Yeah, it certainly was. And look, most of the teams got to see the climb yesterday. Interesting listening before to that interview with Jai Hindley. He hasn't raced up here, hasn't ridden it, but he said we did get to drive up. They stayed at the top of the mountain. So they all got a sneak peek at it. It's not the same, though, in the car, is it? You have to ride it to really get a feel for it.
Well, one guy that can give them an insight as to what this climb is like is a rider that's gone up here plenty of times in the past, Neil van der Ploeg. Let's get his insights on Mount Buller.
Here we are at the base of Mount Buller, the second mountaintop finish in this year's Jayco Herald Sun Tour. There's something special about these mountaintop finishes. They're a crowd pleaser, and there's something romantic about it. Even just with a single rider against the mountain, there's a real challenge there. Throw a whole heap of other cyclists in the mix, and we have got a show on our hands. The climb's 16 kilometres in length, about 6% gradient, and it's a hors category. If this was in the Tour de France, it would be shaking up GC, so expect it to do the same in the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. We're in the first few kilometres of the climb here. Expect the sprinters and the people who are well off GC, some of those will be dropping off straight away because there's nothing up there for them. They may as well save their legs for that sprint in the final stage in Melbourne. Meanwhile, in front of the peloton, you're going to get the yellow jersey team, whoever they are, they're going to be setting the pace. They'll be using their bigger riders, the guys who aren't quite as good at the climb first, making sure the pace is high enough so people don't attack. A really uncomfortable pace, and that will see the peloton gradually whittling down more and more, and the anticipation building for a real finale. Because at the top, it kicks up, it's steep. So this bit here is just setting the stage. Whew. I'm glad I'm not doing it this year. I'd be well out the back. The average pace is going to be around 24-25k an hour. Pretty amazing. I still get blown away by that. That's the same speed that most people would be happy to average on the flat. And these guys are doing it up a pretty significant climb. At speeds of 25k an hour, there's still a pretty good draft. So it'll be a bit of a group till later on where it really matters, because there's opportunity at the top in that final 3 kilometres for the real climbers to come out. Think of riders like Richie Port, Simon Yates, any climber of that sort of mould. This really is one for the mountain goats, especially those with a bit of punch, because that last bit, it's steep, but it's not super long. So this is one for the climbers. So Mount Buller's got a pretty big history in the Jayco Herald Sun Tour, but hasn't been here for quite a while. The last time was 12 years ago in 2008. On that day, it was won by a mountain biker, Chris Yongaward from South Australia. He won it from a breakaway, but that's unexpected. Second place, Chris Froome. So if that doesn't convince you that this is a hard climb, nothing will. Notice the yellow lines. You know you're in the mountains when you're amongst the yellow lines. It's when things are getting serious, the air's getting thinner, and the challenge is going up. I love it. So we're about halfway up here, and we've climbed 500 metres, and we're at 1,000 metres of elevation. So in this section, we start to get a few more hairpins towards the top of the climb. So with these hairpins, we also get just a little bit more variation in gradient. It's going to be here where the legs are going to start to sting for a lot of riders, and you might see a bit of attrition happening. Another one of the flatter sections here. There's not too many flat sections. They don't last for too long. And this is one of the final ones. Speeds will be high here in the lead out to Hell's Corner. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of a peel, team peel leading into it. It'll really help.
This is Optus Stage 4 of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour, and David McKenzie, somehow, Neil van der Ploeg made 16 kilometres of suffering up Mount Buller sound fun.
He did, didn't he? That was a great course, Ricky. I really enjoyed that. And look, Neil van der Ploeg in his own right was a great road cyclist. So he knows these roads and these climbs as well as anybody. And it was fun, but there was quite a bit of knowledge amongst what he said there as well.
At that 2008 edition, I remember it well, and Baden Cook was a teammate then at Barlow World with Chris Froome, and afterwards Baden said, I didn't realise you could climb so well, Froome. Turns out Froome could really climb. So let's take a look back at that edition of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour, which came to the top of Mount Buller, and the world discovered Chris Froome.
They leave Alexandra for the 115-kilometre journey. They go through Merton. The first sprint is at Bonnie Doon, and then the feed zone, and the second sprint is in the high country town of Mansfield before the real climb starts 1,600 metres up to the top of Mount Buller. If we have a look at it on the topographical map, you can see it's fairly flat through a lot of that region. Mansfield and, of course, Merrijig is where the real rise happens, and then all the way to the summit of Mount Buller. Could help decide the tour. Let's get to the start. And we have got the start underway. You can see the riders at a fairly casual pace. They've got 115 kilometres to go as they leave Alexandra, but they are taking it easy, David McKenzie and Matt Keenan. Obviously, there's plenty of riding ahead.
They've done a lap of the local town here, and a few of the locals have enjoyed a ride as well.
They certainly have, but the flag has gone in now, and already a bit of a, I wouldn't call it an attack, I think it's a bit of a sneaky move actually, just trying to cruise off the front from the SA.com team and Savings and Loans.
Well, it's such a difficult day ahead of us. It looks as if Ben King and Craig McCartney are trying to get off the front. They know we've got the big mountain of Mount Buller. It's 15 kilometres in itself, the climb. They're hoping to get to the bottom with a head start.
Starting to bridge a little bit of a gap here, though. It looks like there might be 8, 9, maybe 10 riders just making their way off the front.
Well, it's not really any sort of aggressive attack. It's as if the CSC Saxo Bank team are happy to see a small group go away with none of the big contenders in the overall classification. And all of a sudden, as they've gone across the top of that climb, they are away. Chris Yongaward is in the group from the Panasonic team, and 2 riders, importantly, from the Virgin Blue Australian national team have made the move. Cameron Jennings in the black colours, the winner of the stage into Wangaratta last year. This is David Kemp, who's got the injuries on his right knee after the crash on stage 1, but now he's clearly got some good form.
You can see a few team tactics coming in and playing here with Type 1 and Voska Zip still not working, so obviously they're waiting for their man back there. Doing the same job we are, but we've got to get to the climb in a few minutes so we can help them, so that's sort of the tactics that's going on here. So
they're approaching 3.5 minutes behind that leading group. No concerns for O'Grady because the best placed rider in that leading group is Luke Cridlin from the Panasonic team. He's more than 6 minutes behind. They're coming into Mansfield now. This is the second of our intermediate sprints. Shaw is being challenged this time. It looks as if he's finished in second place with Froomston taking the points on that occasion.
And you can see here the long line. McGee has been able to use him, just his teammate, sitting on about 50 kilometres an hour just to hold this break around the 3.5 minute mark.
Well, at the back of the group here, this is Bruno Langlois, who you spoke about a moment ago, David McKenzie's just chapping David Kemp on the back just to let him know that I've got a job to do. I'm looking after my teammate who's in second place overall.
The big climb certainly awaits. 16 kilometres of pain is ahead, but maybe some yellow jersey glory in the Herald Sun Tour. This is the lead group. They've got a break of 4 minutes.
Well, Daniel Firmstein from the Brady's team is up the road in the red colours, the Tasmanian. The man that is responding, Chris Yongerwood, he's the one that we expect to be the strongest climber from this group.
O'Grady, he's on the far right side there. He's looking pretty good at the moment, but the attacks are going to come now. Can he sustain it?
O'Grady's lost one of his key teammates, McGee, but hasn't he done such a brilliant job today, leading O'Grady to the bottom of the climb. It's all over for McGee now.
About time I give this game away.
Well, he will be at the end of this race. McGee, 32 years of age, he's going to be Stuart O'Grady's boss next year.
Yongerwood, he is heading for home. He takes a look. He can see the road down the valley. He's going for home. He's going for the stage victory.
And down in the main peloton, it's been torn to shreds at the moment under the pressure of the Barlow World team. O'Grady, though, he looks cool, calm and collected using all his experience.
That is the sign of someone who's been for a pro for more than a decade. He looks quite relaxed still. You never know with O'Grady. It's all about the bluff now.
2 kilometres for Chris Yongerwood. He's holding on to a lead of 1 minute and 30 seconds. Finally, he's starting to show some signs of weakness.
The pace, you can see the difference in the pace from the peloton to Chris Yongerwood. Here they are now. Look at them. They are just tearing up this road.
It looks as if that attack of Chadwick is just about all over. Will Ford is at the rear of the group in the SouthAustralia.com colours. Whenever the road goes upwards, he starts to lick his lips.
And still the main contenders are there. Ben Day is another one, is there. Yongerwood, he's almost coming to a stop as he hits the last kilometre and a half. It really gets steep.
Look at the gear he's riding. Probably a 39 chainring at the front and a 23 sprocket at the back, and he's standing on it. Number 1 is Matt Wilson. He's starting to launch a move. He's in the King of the Mountains jersey, but it's Will Routley, the young Canadian, at the end of the race. They're chasing this man, though. He snuck under the radar. Christopher Froome from Kenya, and he was so impressive at the Tour de France this year.
Froome now, he needs to gain as much time as possible. Here's O'Grady. Finally he lets go. Finally enough is enough. He has to drop back. Now Lars back, he's third on the road. O'Grady has said, you've got to fly, boy. You've got to chase Froome down. 500 metres to go.
This is Chris Yongerwood. He's a former Australian mountain bike champion. He's represented the country at the Commonwealth Games. Today, he's mastered the mountain. He's mastered Mount Buller from a 9-man breakaway. He's the only rider to survive. Yongerwood, the stage winner.
What a huge performance. Here comes Froome. He's heading towards the line now.
Christopher Froome, he's chasing second place, but he's chasing time as well. We look towards the clock. We see what the time gaps are. Lars back, the teammate of O'Grady, should be the next man around the corner. Here comes the big day now. He uses sheer force to get here. The clock starts. O'Grady has to be in within 20 seconds if he's to maintain his lead in the race overall. Here comes the defending champion, Wilson. We look for Walker going across the line now. Where's the yellow jersey? Here comes O'Grady. The clock is ticking. It's going to be desperately close on the line. 20 seconds is the difference to back. He's going to lose the jersey by about 4 seconds. Well, that was 2008 at the top of Mount Buller, and a lot has changed. Chris Froome is now a 4-time winner of the Tour de France. He's twice won the Volta de España and once the Giro d'Italia. Stuart O'Grady, he went on to win that race overall in the end. He eventually took the leader's jersey off his teammate Lars Back in the final individual time trial. Dave McKenzie, the Breakaway group, they have gone over the top of the first of the climbs.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing, wasn't it, what we just saw there? Some great old vision, if I can say that. So now, back to live picks.
This is a replay at the top of the climb with Connor Murtagh going over the top of Old Tomey Road, and he collects maximum points. Perry in second position, and then Ethan Batt in third place.
Yeah, so no real challenge there for that. Murtagh comfortably taking those points. He'll now slip back, wait for the group, so they're working well together, and that's good to see Murtagh get some reward for the number of days he's been on the attack. And now the peloton once again, Team Sunweb there, and Nero racing towards the front there as well by the looks of it, just leading that group of riders across.
These are live pictures. We rejoined the Breakaway group, and as everybody will have just seen, the good news is, David McKenzie, our lunch has just been delivered.
I thought I won't say anything. If you notice at home, lovely gentleman, He didn't realise we were on camera, obviously. He walked behind. He did deliver an important package. It's lunch, so it's arrived. We might not get too much of a chance to eat our lunch, though. So this group of 8 riders still working well together. 2:29 is the gap, so it's just absolutely stopped that, hasn't it?
We'll cross down to Pat Shaw shortly, and that'll give you an opportunity to see what's in the lunch bag.
Absolutely.
So still the pink colours of Yonas Rush. He is the virtual race leader, is he? No, not quite. Just short, as you mentioned. And Dom. Today, he's got it right. He's held the bidden at the top.
I'm not sure if that was Dom, actually.
I think it was Dom. Right. I need to put my glasses back on.
Yeah.
Well, he sent us a message after we got into him yesterday with James Whelan in the breakaway. It didn't quite work out with the feed. Today, though, it looks like Dom got it right.
Wow, a bit of an easier patch. Uphill, slower. Yeah.
30 k's an hour as opposed to 50.
Yeah. No, I mean, Dom, we know Dom, obviously.
He's awesome.
And he's had plenty of experience as a soigneur on a lot of races in Australia, so he knows the game as well as anyone.
Well, he helped me out with a bit of a shoulder injury that I've had as a result of tennis and a very poor technique of my serve. And he gave me a little bit of treatment whilst I was over at the Tour Down Under, and we're back towards 90%. So, well, hopefully we'll get back to the court once we finish up with this race. He's a brilliant osteopath, Dom. He works out of Macedon, up in that area. Macedon Ranges.
Woodend.
That's
beautiful town of Woodend.
Great spot.
Yeah, it is.
Let's now get across to Pat Shaw, and I'm going to check what's in the lunch bag. Pat, you're with the breakaway still.
I hope you had a nice slice like I had, because I just finished it as we watched these 8 riders in the breakaway still working really well together. 2 minutes 22 is the time gap, and at the moment they're all working together in this front group. No one's missing a turn, but obvious stress on the Israel Cycling Academy rider of Ben Perry. He's struggling on the uphill section.
And the top of this climb, Pat, well, what we've noticed since, it's not completely downhill, is it? So this circuit that they're doing at the moment, it's pretty solid.
It's extremely tough course out here, and that's what we spoke about this morning on the start line, that everyone's thinking about Mount Buller. You've got to get to the base of it with energy first, and we're now seeing the breakaway riders take the final part of the ascent. You're 100% correct. It's about 4.5 kilometres of climbing still after the King of the Mountain point, but then it's an extremely fast and probably considered it as dangerous descent.
Well, that's interesting, Pat. And look, that gap, I mean, we've all been looking at it. It really hasn't changed, I should say. It hasn't gone up, hasn't gone down. It's really stopped. Do you think these guys, do you think the peloton will allow them to have this margin to the base of the climb?
I think this is as close as we're going to see the peloton get in the next probably 20 kilometres, because the riders that were driving the pace and really hurting the peloton from this breakaway were the bigger riders like Rush and Perry, but they haven't been able to put that same impetus into the group on the uphill section, so it's been relying more on Aiden Tooby from Team Bridge Lane, David Williams from Cortamenta, and Michael Wright from the ARA Pro Cycling Sunshine Coast team. So now that we head over the top of this climb proper and now commence the descent, I think we're going to see these bigger guys really power it along, and I think they'll probably punch out to about 3 minutes.
So this breakaway group, I'm anticipating they'll make it through to Merrijig, which will be really important for Ben Hill in the race for the Bright Brewery points classification, the man who wears number 65 in the blue colours for Team Bridge Lane.
Yes, he didn't take any risks today, so Aiden Tooby leading out for the first intermediate sprint, but no real interest from the other breakaway compatriots today. As for the King of the Mountain point, exactly the same as Conor Merta, who's the only one really to contest, but they took a fairly easy victory in that King of the Mountain for the Go Tape King of the Mountain jersey. I don't think Ben Hill will have any trouble picking up the major points at the second intermediate sprint, but then the mood will change, and Aiden Tooby, well, if he can get to the bottom with a minute or so, it'll be difficult to ride back for the peloton.
Pat, what can you tell us about the wind, particularly when they do get to the exposed section between Mansfield and Merrijig?
Yes, and that's what I was bringing up next. That is the section that really is the chance to be open. I don't think it's really going to be an issue for the Breakaway, but certainly the Scott will look for any opportunity to put Sunweb on the back foot, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the big Sam Bewley from New Zealand go to the front and really open up the gas to try and make a difference in the flat section before the climb.
I think that section could be the one part of the course that will pose a few problems for Seb Berwick.
Well, that's true too. But what I really liked about Seb was yesterday when everyone was attacking, he stayed in the group all day, conserving energy. Spoke to him on the start line, and I must admit, he was he spoke a lot more like someone of his age. He was anxious to get the stage started. He was very excited about the prospects of a great finish up pull-up, but he was aware of the risks of being in the wrong position in the peloton before reaching the ascent up Mount Buller.
And Pat, what I've realised, or what we realised this morning, is he's got someone pretty good in his ear. The very professional and knowledgeable Dave Sanders, as we see that break, just doing 92 kilometres an hour. In fact, so you did say dangerous, Pat. This is a very fast part of the course. But Dave Sanders looking after Seb Berwick.
Dave Sanders taking care of Seb, and he's a great leader in the...
Unfortunately, just losing Pat Shaw, who's behind the Breakaway group, touching 92 kilometres per hour. Seb Berwick, who we were talking about from the St George Continental team, he's in third position in the overall classification, just 6 seconds behind the yellow jersey of Jai Hindley. Seb wears the white jersey as the leader of the Visit Victoria Best Young Rider classification. He can win this race overall. Dave Sanders, Davo as he's affectionately known, who you refer to, Macca, you know him as well as Pat Shaw does. You're asking a question of Pat that you know the answer to.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pose it to you. How important is Dave Sanders as the man in the car for Seb?
He's the most important guy, I would say, of any director sportive today on this climb. Not any other stage, other stages, I might not say that. Dave Sanders knows this climb as well as anyone as a director sportive, and he knows these roads really well. And so the only problem Dave Sanders has got, and I guess they've got Seb Berwick, is that he's so close, there's not much they can do. So they have to rely on Seb having a brilliant day on the climb, but they'll know every inch of the road.
What about Davo as a motivator?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and that's probably the more important part, isn't it? And that's where I say he'll be more important than any other director sport. If he'll say all the right keywords on the climb to Seb Berwick, if he's in fact in his ear on race radio, I imagine he would be. So, and he will be saying him, right, flat section coming up. Okay, hairpin turn here. Remember this, it kicks up. Okay, but you've only got to go for 300 metres and then you've got a little bit of reprieve. And he will. As you know too, Matt, he's just a motivator. He's been a great mentor to every young Australian cyclist that has, tried to, had that ability to go to Europe to that next level. He's just been a great mentor to the young talent, and still to this day. And he still is involved with the Mitchelton Scott team on a sort of mentoring basis, on a sort of specialist sort of coaching basis as well. He's been around for a long, long time, Dave Sanders. He had a pretty good career as a cyclist himself in the 70s, and he travelled around the world and raced some of the 6-day races. He's been there and done it,
yeah.
And this is just another day in the team car for him.
There's hardly a Victorian cyclist and not many Australian cyclists on the road or track endurance that haven't been positively influenced by Dave Sanders.
Yeah.
And in terms of the team that he's looking after today, St George Continental, with Seb Berwick sitting in third position overall, his most important teammate, in my view, on the road is Ryan Kavanagh, just to get Seb safely to the bottom of the climb. Once he's on the climb, Seb can take care of himself. I think the strategy from Davo will be sit all day long until 1 kilometre to go, and then full gas.
Yeah.
We saw in the women's race, let's take some lessons from the Lexus of Blackburn Herald Sun Tour, the women's race. Lucy Kennedy, for 30 kilometres on that climb of Falls Creek, for 29.5 Ks, it looked as if Alina Sierra was going to win, was going to hold on. 450 metres to go, Lucy Kennedy cracked her. So Seb can be patient and he can wait. He's just got 6 seconds he needs to claw back.
Yes, and look, it was probably his age and, just that slight lack of composure, which is a good thing, by the way. He jumped early in that, it was sort of an attack rather than the sprint. And I would have liked to have seen him wait, because you and I were saying it as it was unfolding. He looked the zippier of the three, Jai Hindley and Damien Housen. Williams
David
he's just
Williams.
been gapped on the descent, in fact. He was right there.
He's the lightest guy in the breakaway, and he's just been distanced on the way down. And he was the last rider, along with Michael Rice, to join this leading group of 8. And the motorbikes are going by him. They're amongst the officials that go to each of the crossroads to make sure it's safe for the peloton to come on through. This is bad news for David Williams. Even if he rejoins, the energy that he expends.
Well, he's just cost himself a minute at maximal effort to get back on. I think he'll get there, but gee, it's going to be a big effort. That's pretty poor. You've got to be more on the ball. And for people watching, for viewers who haven't raced in an elite bike race, you think the descents are easy? No, not necessarily. You've got to be switched on, and you've got to be on the wheel, because when they get the run off that descent, if you are not hard up, you don't get in the slipstream. And a peloton or a group of riders like this, they will fly along for another 1 or 2 kilometres at 60, 70 kilometres an hour. And if you're not on that wheel, you'll lose it, and that is exactly what has happened to Williams. And look, he's still not there, and he's just starting to shovel the first couple of holes in front of him here, and the more he stays there, those holes are going to get deeper. Oh, this is brutal.
And they feel no need to wait for him, nor should they, because when if he does make contact, he'll need to sit on for a little while and be a passenger. I'm not sure that he's going to make it, David.
He's going to get close, but I'm with you. I don't think he'll get there.
It's less than 100 metres.
It'll be a lesson learned, won't it? It's unfortunately it was his error, and
you win some, you'll learn some. I think he is going to make it now. SRAM neutral service coming past.
That will give him the slightest bit of slipstream, the slightest.
And that psychological chase of foreshortening the gap ever so slightly also helps.
Oh,
come on, David. We're not meant to barrack, are we, in commentary? But I feel for him. He's 19 years of age. He's one of the youngest guys in the race. A tiny little error on the way down. And it wasn't a technical descent. He just laid off the wheel ever so slightly, got out of the slipstream. One of the lightest guys in the breakaway as well. And now he's having to fight just to stick with them.
I'm not convinced, because look at the road ahead. It's just starting to drag up here. He just, in the next 300-400 metres, if he can just get in that slipstream of SRAM neutral support, and they've just drifted off that breakaway ever so slightly, that might help him a little bit.
They're giving the breakaway some distance. They're actually showing a bit of empathy for him.
Now he's going to have to get back past them.
And now the gap's opening up once again for David Williams.
He'll get,
They've been told by the commissaires to open the gap, make sure there's no barrage, there's no stepping stones. Poor David Williams. It's about to be a leading group of 7 as these guys continue to roll through together. Big Yonas Rush in the pink colours looks across the shoulders, and he sees that Williams is all on his own, but there is no waiting.
Well, incidentally, Yonas Rush at the moment, he is the virtual race leader, not by much, 10 seconds. But he is the race leader, as Williams now, this is just a grind, and he's slowly but surely losing a metre by metre, isn't he? And I think he's just about to call it. Yep, he'll make that mistake once. Oh well, you live and you learn. And that's why this race is such a great breeding ground for young talent. Gives them an opportunity to get results, but it also gives them an opportunity to learn some harsh lessons, but still live to fight another day. And sometimes those lessons, when you learn them or they hit you in the face in Europe, geez, they can be a lot harsher, and it can be with still 2-3 hours of racing to go. Today's not a brutal day. It's a nice day out weather-wise, so Williams, he'll probably end up going back to the peloton, and he'll learn from that.
This is the rear end of the peloton inside the last 50 kilometres. The advantage for the breakaway is back under the 2.5 minute mark. They're moving along pretty quickly. Number 77, that's Joel Yates, sitting towards the back of the group. He's one of the teammates of Sebastian Berwick, the leader of the Visit Victoria Best Young Rider classification.
Yonas Rush now looking for neutral support. Call the car up. Well, it's just a quick, he just wanted a quick at the time.
Has he got a mechanical problem? He has got a mechanical problem.
Yep.
Oh, how unfortunate for Yonas Rush.
Jeepers, we've just suddenly had a little bit of action in this breakaway when we least expected it. One rider actually getting dropped off. Oh, this is going to be, so it's front wheel. And it's disc. Yep, and look at that. So the Allen key's got to unscrew the front wheel. This is the
David
only...
Williams just went past him.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, this could be Dave Williams' saviour right there, right now.
And Yonas has the horsepower to potentially rejoin. But this is bad news for the Breakaway, because on the flat pieces of road, and particularly those that are slightly down, he is the strongest man in the group.
It is and it isn't. Remember, he's the closest on general classification. If he was to go back, Sunweb, I believe,
shut it down.
well, they'd drop the clutch in. They can afford to. They don't need to win the stage necessarily. But I think he'll get back.
In many respects for Sunweb, it might be better if the Breakaway wins the stage and then they take those time bonuses.
Jai Hindley, Marks, Housen,
and just finishes
Berwick finishes with them. Status quo.
Whereas at the moment, given the time bonuses that are up for grabs, if Damien Housen, Jai Hindley and Sebastian Berwick go across the finish line together, and it's Housen that's in first position, Hindley that's in third place, Housen will move into the lead by 2 seconds because of time bonuses. So to see those time bonuses get taken by the Breakaway is, in many respects, in the interest of the yellow jersey. But I don't think that's his mentality. I think he's got the confidence to chase the break and win the stage and really put on a show of strength.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the next best on that in the general classification from that break is Perry. He's at 12 minutes, so no stress really for Sunweb, all the other general classification riders. But as we just said, if we do go back to that break or back to Williams and Yonas Ruch, it just could be a saviour for Williams here. It might just get him back to the group.
Number 111, we saw a lot of him yesterday. That's Tyler Stites. He was in that big, long breakaway. 101, that is Angus Lyons from Oliver's Real Food Racing. He's been really active throughout the race, and he'll be pleased that he's got his teammate, Connor Murtagh, in today's big breakaway. Number 82 out of the cell, that's the Frenchman, Thomas Lebar. He finds himself just inside the top 10 in the general classification. He's in 9th position at 1 minute and 15 seconds down. He's a good climber, Thomas.
Yeah, he'll be looking forward to today and really almost gone unnoticed. So what's happened here? Well, we've missed that. Murtagh just off the wheel there. Were they playing around, and Ben Hill as well? Not sure what they're up to there, unless they've actually just gone back to neutral support. The car's now coming up, and that's the ARA Sunshine Coast Pro Racing Sunshine Coast team car coming up there, servicing Williams. He sits at 28 minutes off the pace, and no through. He had a good ride yesterday. Sorry, not Williams, I should say. Good ride yesterday, 5th place for him. He's 16 minutes off the pace, I should say. Williams sits at 28 minutes. That's the quarter Medford rider. So they're not back yet. It was a reasonably slow change for Yonas Ruch for EF Education first. And just see if the camera can pan around. If we can get a view of those two riders, if they are together in fact. We'll soon see. 154, so the gap's come down a bit here. It's actually come down about 50 seconds, Matt.
Yeah, I think the loss of Yonas is really going to hurt them, because I don't think that Sunweb are going to stop their momentum in that peloton. They're going to keep riding fairly solid all the way to the base of Mount Puller. Here he is. Yonas has returned. Is Williams still in the team, in amongst those cars?
Oh, I'm not sure. I think he's left him. So
that's how powerful Yonas Ruch is.
Yeah.
The commissaire car, that is the car that our man Pat Shaw is in.
Well, Yonas Ruch takes a look over the shoulder. Not sure if he's looking to see where Williams was. He's obviously gone straight by him, by the looks of it. So I think he was out of gas. Poor old David Williams.
The rest of the break will be pretty happy to see the return of the man in pink. Let's get down to Pat Shaw. Pat, we've just seen your car get whizzed by, courtesy of Yonas Ruch. He was flying.
Yeah, he is phenomenal. Didn't panic though. He went back to the SRAM service vehicle, said, I need a front wheel change, get the Allen key ready to take out the skewer, which holds the wheel into the frame. And it was a pretty good change, but it's always a talking point, isn't it, about disc brake wheels and how slow they are to change, but he's back and he's motivated to come flying past us on the top tube pedaling.
Where's David Williams?
David Williams, I'm sorry, he has left the group now and we won't see him. You'll probably see him back in the peloton very shortly. He tried everything to get back to the group, but they were hitting speeds almost at 100 kilometres an hour down the descent, and I think he just may have the nerve wasn't there to follow the wheels. He got gapped for about 15 seconds and he just could not make it back.
I'm surprised because he did get past Yonas Roch when he changed his wheel. He obviously just wasn't able to get in the slipstream.
Well, I think Rouge has been absolutely flying. I'm really interested to watch him this year. He's got a really big engine, and he's a tall fellow, but he's not bulky. So his temperature's high levels of power, and I think he's absolutely pivotal to this breakaway, having any chance of getting to about Buller climb in front.
He is really big. He's 197 centimetres tall. He weighs 82 kilograms. The races the man in pink will be targeting throughout his career are Tour of Flanders, Ghent-Wevelgem and Paris-Roubaix. Yet he climbs so well on Falls Creek that he sits at just 2 minutes and 32 seconds behind overall. Pat, this is a guy with some big weapons, and it will be intriguing to watch him throughout his first season.
Oh, yes, it will be. And intriguing to watch him today. He struggled a bit on that KOM that we just finished about 10, 12 kilometres ago. But I think that was just because of how much he's been pouring in on the flat section of the course. He is absolutely driving the breakaway, and you can see him putting the riders in trouble in the breakaway every time he goes to the front.
Good stuff. Thank you, Pat. As we see now, 1 kilometre to the feed zone. So now they've got their mojo back a little bit here. Yonas Roch immediately rotating. There's Ben Hill. The only thing that's on his mind is that intermediate sprint, the second intermediate sprint. There's Ethan Batt, the New Zealander for Black Spoke Pro Racing Academy.
And 13 kilometres to go to that intermediate sprint. They will make it to that point, and it will give Ben Hill a buffer that will be defendable tomorrow around the Botanic Gardens in Melbourne, but he has to get into the breakaway tomorrow.
He does, because
he's been in the breakaway just about every day.
Yeah, and he knows that already, and because the sprinters' teams will look to try and control it. Murtagh going back for some food by the looks of it. And
direct from Oliver's Real Food Racing.
Yeah.
That's Aidan Tuvey, number 62 for Team Bridge Lane. A team that's had so much success in both this race and also throughout the Australian National Road Series. A series that they've won the team's classification 11 years running.
Sorry, stand for your car.
Conor Murtagh just apologising to Ben Hill there, I think, saying, sorry, mate, I thought your car was just there. Not sure what was going on. There you go. Now it comes up. That's a busy time. It's lunch break.
Well, they're making the most of it before they get through to the intermediate sprint in Merigi. This is quite an exposed area. No problems for the breakaway group. And we spoke about the wind quite a bit. Surprisingly, David, it's much calmer now than it was this morning when we first arrived at the finish line at the top of Mount Buller.
Yes, it is. Look, I'm not convinced there'll be too much happening in the peloton, which will be good news for Seb Berwick. There's only really one section that it can open up, and I don't think the peloton will blast it, but you never know. If they try and catch a few riders unawares down the back, they just might. Luke Roberts, he's a pretty smart guy. He's obviously the director sportive for Team Sunweb. He knows these roads well. He's been very good at the Jayco Herald Sun Tour himself in his own career.
Him and his father, Wayne, have both finished in second position overall in this race.
Yeah.
His dad sadly passed away a couple of years ago, but his dad was a fantastic guy and a great frame builder. The old art of building frames, his dad was a frame builder for many years.
It's back in vogue, isn't it? Now, really in a big way.
Through the feed zone for the breakaway group of 7 riders, but they're making the most of being able to access the team car as well, particularly the 2 riders from Bridge Lane, Aidan Tuvey and Ben Hill. Aidan Tuvey's a pretty handy climber, and Pat Shaw has alluded to the fact that he could be difficult to catch.
Gee, I think they'll need every bit of this 2 minutes and 46 that they've got, though, regardless of who's there in terms of climbing ability. I just think Sunweb are going to have to set a high tempo. And look, I imagine actually it will be Mitchelton Scott who will set the tempo. Remember Simon Yates, he's not in great form. He lost minutes into Falls Creek, but he'll switch roles now and he will look to light it up for Damien Housen. So I think it's going to be a pretty fast tempo from the base of the climb.
Yeah, I think Aiden Tuvey's a good climber, but he's not good enough to hold off this group, even if he has 3 minutes at the bottom of the climb.
Yeah, I agree.
Particularly with all the work that they've been doing out in front. Number 92, that's Michael Freeberg, who we saw have a rear wheel puncher when the pace was really on early.
Yeah, well, it was the wrong time, but soon after that was when the tempo eased off.
There's the white jersey, Visit Victoria Best Young Rider classification leader. That's Sebastian Berwick, and the man he's sitting behind is Ryan Kavanagh.
Yeah, smart, and you can just see this peloton. So there is a little bit of wind because they're hugging the right shoulder of the road, but no real stress. And I don't think Sunweb will try any funny games here. They'll just ride a tempo. They won't give the peloton a free ride exactly, and that's why they're doing that. They're sitting over the right side of the road. The wind is coming from the left, so they're forcing the rest of the peloton to sort of follow them to get any sort of sit. But on the outside, on the left side, you're effectively riding in the wind, even if you're on the wheel.
This is Aiden Tuvey, who we were just talking about a moment ago in terms of his prospects on this climb. Michael Rice going through 5th on the stage yesterday. This is Ben Perry for Israel Startup Nation. They're all working really well together. Very vocal, Ben Perry. He's been out here since the start of the season. He rode the Lexus of Blackburn at Bay Crits to get the season rolling. Rice back on through.
Yeah, they're changing the rotation now.
The wind is obviously coming from the right-hand side. Here comes Yonas Rush. Connor Murtagh in the green colours. Now the peloton makes their way through the feed zone. Musette bag being collected at the back of the group. That's Ashley Mackay of ARA Pro Racing Sunshine Coast. A team with their sprinter in the breakaway.
And just looking at Oliver's Real Food Racing, I'll tell you what, they made it a hard job for the soigneurs. They were all together. They didn't spread out. You've only got so many soigneurs or masseurs hands on the side of the road. Probably only generally 2 will be at the feed zone. All 5 of them went together. They had to sort of suddenly realise what they'd done. They put a bit of pressure on the soigneurs, but I think they all collected.
Inside the last 40 kilometres, the breakaway group have an advantage of 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So let's take a look at the course for Optus Stage 4. Starts in Mansfield, 106.6 kilometres. It does a loop around Mansfield. They've already completed that. Back into town for the first of the intermediate sprints. Then they head out once more for the first of the King of the Mountains prizes up for grabs in the Go TAFE King of the Mountains classification. Return almost into Mansfield before making the left-hand turn through Merrijig in the race for the Bright Brewery points classification, then to the base of Mount Buller for the 16-kilometre ascent to the top of the climb. They've just gone through the feed zone. They're heading towards Merrijig. From that point on, it's all uphill. And at the top of the climb, there are plenty of hairpins, which tells you one thing. It's steep, and the final kilometre is the most difficult. That's where the big decisions will be made on the final yellow jersey.
Yes, it's a classic climb and a classic finale as well. And you can see there, this is the last sort of couple of 100 metres now that we're looking at. More or less live pictures there of the stage. It's all set up and just awaiting the riders now. And it's this group here, and they've just gone up over 3 minutes. So this is good news for the breakaway.
Number 65, Ben Hill, and number 107, Connor Murtagh. They were teammates together at Charter Mason, and it was there that Ben Hill taught Connor his creed, his motto. The only way to be in the winning break is to be in all of them. And so far, Ben has.
He has. He really has. And he's made amends today. Yesterday just did not go his way at all. Unravelled on him sensationally just prior to that second intermediate sprint. There he is there, boxing on. Connor Murtagh, he's been impressive as well. So too Yonas Rush. Ben Perry, Israel Startup Nation, the Canadian. He's had some victories on home
He's talking a lot, isn't he?
Yeah, save a little bit of it.
Well, one of the people working in support for the Israel Startup Nation is Greg Henderson, himself a former stage winner at the Volta a España World Champion on the track in the scratch race. He's here on the race with that team. He's just sent through a message that he's on the climb, 10 kilometres from the top, and he said it's blowing a gale.
Yeah.
Predominantly headwind.
Ah, well, that's interesting.
What does that tell you?
Well, that makes a difference, doesn't it? It means that it's easier for the non-climbers, or, well, the climbers on general classification that are struggling a little bit. They're going to get a sit up the climb. Look, it's relatively sheltered, even on the early part and lower slopes. Probably the first 3 kilometres actually is a little bit open. After that, it starts to close in because the mountain range sort of comes up either side of you as you climb up. And I think the last 4 or 5 kilometres, I don't think the wind will make a big difference, to be honest. Maybe in the last kilometre, because we're exposed a little bit at the top here, that might make a difference. So it will be interesting. But yeah, Greg Henderson, he's been out here with the Israel Startup Nation. I saw him over at Adelaide, and he's been playing a key role at the beginning of the season with that team. So great to see a former pro now passing on that knowledge to that team and still involved in professional cycling.
There's the race leader, Jai Hindley, in the yellow jersey. In front of him is Rob Power. Then it is Florian Stork, and at the front it's Crowell Anderson. Sunweb is spending a lot of energy, but it's predominantly Crowell Anderson who will be riding the front until they get to the base of the climb. And behind Jai Hindley, importantly, is Michael Storer. These two guys are the same age. They're from WA. They're both from Perth. They've been through the system together in terms of the Australian under-23 squad. They know each other really well. And Michael Storer will be delighted if he can help Jai Hindley win this race.
Yes, it's I tell you what, Jai Hindley, he wouldn't want anyone else in that role than Michael Storer. And you just summed it up, Matt. They know each other so well, so much respect for each other. They won't even have to talk.
No.
Michael Storer, he will sense how Jai's going when he's riding tempo later on today on this climb. No words will need to be spoken. So it's a pretty good duo, and
there he
is with the feedback, just delivering some bid-ons, food for the guys doing the workload at the moment. And Jai's, it's interesting chatting to him yesterday. I mean, he's a relaxed guy, isn't he? And I think I asked him about 3 questions for the broadcast, and I said, "You ready for tomorrow?" was the last question. He said, "Absolutely, bring it on. You know, looking forward to it." And he doesn't mince his words either, Jai Hindley.
This is the 67th edition of the race, and the man in yellow appreciates the history of the race. The great Barry Waddell, also from Western Australia, started the race 5 times. He won it 5 times. He's been the most successful man in this race. Bradley Wiggins was a winner. Stuart O'Grady has won the race. Simon Gerrans twice. And for Simon Gerrans in 2005, that was his first year in the pro peloton. It was a big step forward for him. Simon Clark has won this race. He's since gone on to win stages at the Volta a España and the King of the Mountains classification there. Chris Froome, Cameron Meyer, Esteban Chavez. Last year it was Dylan Van Baal. It is a prestigious honour roll to add your name to.
And there was a real period there, Matt, in the 90s which was great for the race, in fact. There wasn't an Australian who won it. I think a 10-year period.
From 87 until 2002, there were no Australian winners. So Neil Stevens won in 86, and it wasn't until Baden Cook in 2002 that Australians won the race again. It was dominated by Europeans and Americans.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the couple of names there. Adrie van der Poel, the father of the great now, Mathieu van der Poel, who is just exciting, I think, or anyone who loves professional cycling. You know, Scott Monning and Norm Elvis, and then a couple of Italians as well, an Austrian as well. So, no, it's got a rich history, this race.
And one of the best names ever on any honour roll from Kyrgyzstan in the year 2000, Eugene Wacker.
Eugene Wacker. Yeah.
What a great name.
He was no Wacker.
He was no Wacker.
I remember that one. We've had some great winners of this race. The Italians as well dominated a couple of editions. And Stefano Tomasini back in the 80s. He had a big battle with Neil Stevens, in fact, that year. So Jai Hindley, he knows what awaits him, and he knows if he can deliver what it will mean to him and to his career now, but also in the next 10, 15 years. He'll be on that honour roll forever.
The Breakaway group out to an advantage of more than 3.5 minutes, 6 kilometres before the next of the intermediate sprints, and then it is full gas all the way through to the base of Mount Buller. The high country is now really renowned as the destination for cycling. Having grown up in the area, did you always have that threat of fire and were well aware of it? Mount Buller is just 3 hours from Melbourne. It has 21 chairlifts. It is a popular destination throughout the winter months, but also throughout the summer months. It's home to the Australian Alpine Epic Mountain Bike Trail with over 40 kilometres worth of single track at the top of Mount Buller. The beautiful Alpine Village has the most on-mountain accommodation in Victoria, making it a great place throughout either summer or winter. Number 2, this is Damien Housen. He's the rider who sits in second place in the general classification, and he's just 4 seconds behind the overall race leader, Jai Hindley. Damien Housen has won this race in the past. That was in 2017. When he won that race, he won the stage to the top of Falls Creek. Second place that day was Jai Hindley. 2 days ago to the top of Falls Creek, the winner was Jai Hindley. Second place was Damien Housen. The scene is set for a battle on Buller.
It's going to be fantastic, isn't it? It really is. I think this is going to be the best 16 kilometres. Although saying that, Matt, I'll tell you what, they'll need to deliver, because the women's finale, we've already talked about it, the Lexus of Blackburn Herald Sun Tour finish on Falls Creek is one of the best final sort of 3 kilometres I've seen of any bike race, any mountain summit finish ever. It was unbelievable. And Elena Sierra, the class that she showed, she is absolutely brilliant, and we've both had the privilege of watching her race last year and this year here in Australia. She only faltered in the last 400 metres. I'll tell you what, the next time I go play poker, I'm bringing her as my teammate. Yep. She did not give anything away. Falls Creek is a 30-kilometre climb. Elena Sierra was good for 29.5. It was absolutely insane, and then the winner. Ella Harasu was dropped 6 or 7 times. Yeah, I'm changing her name. She was brilliant. She's Harasu Dini. Yeah, that was. Yeah. She escaped the clutches of being distanced by the leading group 6 times. Yeah, it gave us so much. So, guys, there's the benchmark. So I'm sure we'll get excited. If it's half as good as that stage, it'll be brilliant. We're in for a cracker. Yeah. Aidan Tuvey talking to Ben Perry. What a surprise. 3:17, 3:27, in fact, the advantage for the Breakaway. This is Michael. I like that Michael Rice is in the Breakaway today for ARA Pro Racing Sunshine Coast. Sprinter, 5th yesterday. He was in the break yesterday. He's in the break again today. Well, he justified his actions yesterday when he crossed the line in 5th place, didn't he? Excuse me. So had a little bit of a Bill Lawry moment. Yeah, voice was gone. Thought it was going. He absolutely justified his actions. He sat on, if you didn't see it yesterday, he basically wouldn't pull a single turn in the Breakaway. They didn't get super frustrated at him. Of course, it's a little bit annoying. There he is, just starting to move up the train now. Ethan Batt, the New Zealander, taking his turn on the front, but he went back to the peloton in the end. There he is now in the ARA Pro Racing Sunshine Coast colours, and he delivered a top 5 result against some great sprinters. What are your expectations on Ethan Batt? He's only 21. I've got to confess, I don't know a whole lot about him. He did finish in 6th place at the Oceania Time Trial Championships 2 years ago. He was in 4th place last year. That's for the under-23 individual time trial. So he's obviously got a good engine. Yeah. The time trial is a better measure for under-19s and under-23s in many respects than what the road race is. Yes. Look, I'm just happy that he's got himself in the Breakaway today, and the team have got some representation there. Look, he's at 29 minutes, so he's obviously struggled on a couple of days, but he's obviously feeling all right today. We saw what happened in the first hour. You have to have some sort of legs. So for a 21-year-old to get in this move is just good in itself. I'll be happy if he can make the base of the climb, go with, this group in the early stages. I think that's a big win for the team. And look, they've still got James Oram at 152 off the pace. So James Oram is in a pretty good place there. And so too Hayden McCormick at 3 minutes. So if those two can have a pretty good climb, and if Batter's got anything left and he's got a head start, he just might be able to assist his two older teammates there. Well, they're working well together. 3:25. This is good. 31 kilometres to go. So they're edging closer to Merrijick, and they're edging closer to the base. 16 kilometre climb. So they're about halfway from Mansfield to the bottom of the climb, I should say. Yeah, they haven't missed a beat. A little bit of talk going on. Was that Perry again?
I'm just assuming it was.
I'm half hoping he gets a result today, because it means I'll get to interview him post-stage. If he does now, you can just see they've changed the rotation once again. So that wind, it's just playing a little bit with them. They were swinging in, they were turning in, now they're turning out. You can see Bat there, he started that. He switched more to the right, now they're switching to the right of the road. Yeah, it's real interesting. As we looked earlier with the peloton, I mean, this is some 15 minutes ago, the peloton were hugging the right, but they were all down the right side of the road, so the wind was coming left to right. Yeah, so that's interesting.
2 kilometres away from Merrijick, and the second of today's intermediate sprints in the race for the Bright Brewery points classification. Connor Murtagh in the green colours of Oliver's Real Food Racing. There it is, that's the destination, Mount Buller.
Doesn't look so high, does it, there at the moment?
Oh, my legs can tell you that it is.
Yeah, it is. Well, you got up nice and early this morning. You got a little way down, didn't you?
Hey, I beat everybody on the couch, Macca.
You did, you beat me. I was jealous.
I was pretty happy that you didn't come with me, so I could ride in silence and suffer at my own very slow pace.
Come on. Murtagh, I tell you what they have been going through, Bidons. It's warm out there. We're not feeling it. We stayed on the mountain last night with the teams, and it's obviously a lot cooler, and it's not going to get hot.
We're at 1,600 metres at the top of Mount Buller.
Yeah.
So it's much cooler up the top. They've been racing for almost 2 hours, an hour and 53 minutes. Is that ice going down the back of his jersey?
He's putting ice. And, Matt, you know as well as I do, down in that high country, down in Mansfield, it's dry. They're dry, hot summers, really, really hot weather. They get 40 degrees.
They get real extremes. Super cold overnight.
Yep.
And really hot during the day.
Yeah.
The brake's still working well together. Ethan Batt in the dark blue colours of the new Kiwi team, Black Spoke. There's the sign for the sprint, 1 kilometre. 1 kilometre to Merrijick and the intermediate sprint.
Surely no challenge, you would think, again for Ben Hill. He won't take the risk, but I even wonder if he's had a bit of a word to a couple of them. Here's the peloton.
And he's got Aiden Tuvey with him to provide the lead out.
And this is the section where I thought potentially there might have been some, well, it possibly is some crosswind, but you still need a group of riders to go to the front and force the pace, and it's not really happening.
The one thing I do know about the wind is it's coming from the left-hand side of the road.
Yeah.
Hence they're going to the right-hand gutter. Yeah. So Sunweb are leaving enough room to protect the riders from their team. Everybody else, fend for yourself. Aiden, this is 500 metres to go. Aiden Tuvey's number 62. He's leading out Ben Hill, and Ben Hill's having the conversation with Ben Perry. Are you sprinting? I think Ben Perry has said, yeah, mate, I am.
Is he or no? I'm not sure. We'll watch. I'll tell you what.
Michael Rice. If Michael Rice
he's going to let him.
He is. He just taps Aiden Tuvey to slot through. Michael Rice doesn't look as if he's sprinting. Aiden Tuvey now to the front. Ben Hill slots into second position. If I'm Ben Hill, I'm not taking any chances.
No, and he's not.
I'm sprinting full gas.
Yeah, he's just...
I'm waiting, and that's what he's doing.
His head's on a swivel too, which is good. He didn't do that yesterday, and he paid for it in the end.
Paid a heavy price, and then he cramped on the way to Glenrowan. Now he opens up the sprint. No reaction from Perry. He'll be pleased. He checks. Merrijick awaits. Points for the Bright Brewery green jersey classification. He extends his advantage. He's out to 26 points. That's an 8-point buffer.
Yeah, well done. Well done there to Ben Hill. So takes the points. Now they'll settle back in. And post this section here, they get out of the small township of Merrijick, couple of winding roads, and then it just very gradually starts to climb up bit by bit to the base of the climb. So they'll already start to climb. before they hit the bottom. It's not much, but it's enough just for your body to realise.
And now they get themselves rolling once again. And it's the pink colours of Yonas Rush from EF Education First who takes the initiative. Back at the peloton, it's still the Sunweb team, and in second spot, the wearer of the green jersey for now at least is Alberta Danese. Tomorrow it will be Ben Hill who starts with that bright brewery green jersey on.
Yes, objective achieved today for Ben Hill. He's made amends. Yesterday really was a disaster in the end for Ben Hill. He really got nothing out of it except sore legs and cramping. So he's recovered well. And, well, he was always going to at least put himself out there. And there you see Mitchelton Scott all lined up. Israel Startup Nation, EF, the Nero Racing Team, Quarter Mentha. So they're all together. Oliver's Real Food Racing, Avolo. They had 2 riders in the breakaway yesterday. So they had a good day out there.
Sam Hill at the back, that's the brother of Ben Hill. Significantly taller and in a lot less breakaways.
And Simon Yates, just sitting near the rear there. I think he stopped for a nature break. So I'd imagine he will make his way back to the front shortly. There he is, just in sort of on the right-hand side there, number 1.
We're back to the breakaway, and so too is Pat Shaw. Pat Shaw, Ben Hill, maximum points once again.
Maximum points, and also such great camaraderie in this group. They know that there's no point in going for sprint points. They want to go for a stage. Oh, bit of a mishap there, though. Dropped Kaden out of the bike of the Israel Cycling Academy Startup Nation rider Ben Perry, and nearly crashed Bat from Black Smoke. So good technical skills there from Bat to hold it up.
Well,
that was a bit of a moment there, guys.
Yeah, well, we missed that. The camera was just sort of panned around, Pat, so that was a real lucky thing. Well, we're just about to have a look at the replay, actually. Oh, no, we're looking at the replay of the sprint. Ben Hill, so no surprises there really, no one super interested. Pat, just on this break, 3:26, do you really think they can survive the day?
Well, I've just been chatting to a compatriot in this vehicle and said the year that Chris Yonkerward won, I thought that we hit the bottom for some reason. 3 minutes 28 resonates with me. So that was the lead, so it says that it is possible if they've got this lead that they currently hold.
It is possible. In this breakaway today, Pat, we have Connor Murtagh from the Oliver's Real Food Racing team. And this is a team that probably doesn't get enough credit that it is due. It's made a significant contribution to Australian cycling.
Oh, certainly. And maintain the same sponsor year in and year out, which is always a difficult thing. So great support from Oliver's Real Food as well. But they're a New Zealand-based team. They race the Asian circuit. Their team DS is Sam Lazelle, and he does a job. He's not only the DS, but also the manager of the team, so logistics and etc. And they've got a great team. They finished with the leaders King of the Mountains jersey at Tour de Langkawi last year with Angus Lyons, who was the most aggressive rider on the Falls Creek stage. And today, Connor Murtagh in the break again. He was in the break on stage 1. He's got a good climbing capability too, and he knows this climb from the Mansfield Tour, which is part of the Australian domestic circuit.
The team management at Oliver's Real Food Racing, they'd be pretty happy with how often they've been in the breakaways.
Yes, certainly. And earlier in the day, they had 3 in the initial split, which then formed this breakaway after it came back. So Connor Murtagh, he did the hard way though. He had to ride across solo, but he did it quickly, and he knows these roads well, as I said. So he'll be good on this climb up Mount Buller. The 2 riders that really jump out at me, though, from following the race today would have to be Aidan Tooby from Team Bridge Lane, and certainly from EF Pro Cycling, Yonas Rush. And I was just saying his nickname is Dizega, which means the goat. I think it might mean the mountain goat, guys.
Oh, nice work, Pat. Nice work indeed. Well done. He's giving us some gold there, Pat Shaw. Great to have him sort of right. He's basically like a fly on the wall, isn't he, with this breakaway? And you get to see, as a former elite rider himself, you just get to see the little nuances of each of those riders and see how they're feeling. And so, well, that's interesting. Tuvey and Roach, they're the 2 that we'll keep an eye on.
This is Yates at the back, number 1. Ben Hill having collected maximum points at both of the intermediate sprints in the race for the Bright Brewery green jersey. He now moves to 28 points in that classification. In second position, we have Alberta Danese and Kaden Groves both on 18 points. So heading into tomorrow's stage, Ben Hill has a 10-point buffer.
Well, that's pretty good. That is pretty good. He couldn't have done much more. Just on Yonas Ruch, Matt, I know we've sung his praises, and
for good reason.
Yeah, and neo-professional in the World Tour this year, 22 years of age. He actually finished 8th in the general classification in the Tour of Luxembourg last year.
That's a hard race.
That is a hard race. There's not too many flat roads, not long climbs like what we're doing today.
But hardly any flat roads.
Hardly any flat roads. That is a really tough race. So to finish top 10 in that, and in Rundum-Köln, a one-day race, which I know in Germany, he was top 10 there as well. So two sort of pro races that have World Tour teams in them. Before he was in the World Tour, he finished top 10 in. So he won't be daunted by what the prospects of what looms today at all.
Last year he won the under-23 Ghent-Wevelgem and was 5th in the under-23 Tour of Flanders. They're the sorts of races he'll be targeting long-term. He'll get his first opportunity at the elite level this year. What will be interesting for a guy like Yonas is he's had his first month in the pro peloton in Australia, warm sunny conditions. He is German, so he's accustomed to the cold. I wonder how he'll go when he makes his debut in a World Tour race in Europe, such as Paris-Nice or Tirreno-Adriatico.
Yeah.
It's next level up.
It's next level up, and as we've seen in the last few editions, and you travel over to cover those tough weather.
Cold.
Weather's been brutal.
Snow.
Yeah, and they're hard races on their own in good weather. So, yeah, that'll be first real test for him, and gee, the rest of the World Peloton. I think we're all intrigued to see who's going to kick off their seasons in earnest really well at Tirreno, Paris-Nice, because that then gives them a launching pad for the Spring Classics, races like Liège-Bastogne-Liège, some of the general classification riders that will target that. But right here, right now, it's all about this. The Jayco Herald Sun Tour, the stage to Mount Buller.
Number 1, Simon Yates at the back of the peloton. He is riding a pretty small gear, saving his legs 10 kilometres away from the base of the climb of Mount Buller. What support can he offer Damien Housen?
Well, I think his role will come down to just a few kilometres. I don't think it will be a on the front for 10 kilometres. I think it'll be a real surging sort of role, as long as Housen can follow, and it'll be real strategic and just 2 or 3 kilometres to see if they can sort of break the spirit and break themselves away from Jai Hindley. I'm intrigued to see what sort of tactic Mitchell and Scott will play actually. Will they go to the front at the very bottom and just try and ride a super hard tempo? You can do that, but you've got to make sure your man, Damien Housen, is capable of following that tempo.
This is Ethan Batt for Black Spoke, the New Zealand team. They've been racing now for 2 hours, and the Breakaway's average speed is 39 kilometres per hour. 3.5 minutes their advantage. They are less than 10 kilometres away from going through the famous gates at the bottom of Mount Buller.
We all love the toll gates, don't we? At the
Do
base
we?
of, yeah, I love the sight of it. I love the sight of it. More so in commentary. Well, you know what else? I'll be interested to see. I might even put the clock on. Some of the riders will post it on Strava, but I might put the clock started. Put it on the peloton, you think? Yeah.
Put the clock on the peloton. There's Ben Hill, the leader of the points classification, has a 10-point buffer heading into tomorrow's stage. If he can get himself into the break tomorrow and pick up the first of the intermediate sprints, that will go a long way to securing that classification for him.
That would be a big victory for him if he could take the Bright Brewery sprint classification. There you go. Kangaroos, wombats and deer. High risk area. Kangaroos, they generally early mornings or right on dusk, evenings, that's when they come out. And they, believe it or not, they come roadside. And the old saying, sort of like deer in the headlights. You do have to be careful on Australian roads, especially in these areas, driving in the early mornings or the evenings. Kangaroos are out and about. Sometimes they come in flocks. And I say that because I tell you what, sometimes more damage can be done to the vehicle if you do hit a kangaroo. Some of them are very big indeed. This is this section of the course, and you can see here it's a real grinding road from Merridging to the base. There's more uphill than downhill and there's more climbing. And, you know, I think they hit the bottom at about 500 metres, actually.
Correct.
They're not at sea level at all anymore.
And it's a headwind along this section.
Yeah.
Greg Henderson, who is working with the Israel Startup Nation team, has sent through the message that it is blowing a gale at the 10-kilometre marker on the climb, and it's predominantly a headwind. And if it's a headwind where Greg is, it'll be a headwind along the valley road to the base. You can see the body language at the back from Ethan back. He's really working, and he's in the slipstream.
Yeah, and sometimes when the wind is neutral like that, you don't get as good a sit because and the rider in front of him isn't as tall as him in Rice, so he's just trying to tuck in a bit, and you've got to sit hard up on the wheel. You can't afford to sit sort of half a bike off. You'll already get some of that slipstream. And now there's a couple of tired bodies here, just the first signs.
First signs of people using the phrase in.
Yep.
Sorry, mate, in.
Murtagh just drifting to the back, or is he just trying to keep the powder dry for this climb?
I think he's under a fair bit of pressure, Conor Murtagh. That's the rider wearing number 107, Power Max. He'll need every bit of power on the climb, riding for the Oliver's Real Food Racing team. Rice for ARA Pro Racing Sunshine Coast. ARA, new sponsors on board with this team that comes from the Sunshine Coast. They get great support from the Sunshine Coast Council, also the university up there. And here's a couple of his teammates at the back, in particular number 92, last year's Australian National Road Champion, Michael Freeberg.
Yeah, Freeberg, he's sort of been hanging around the back. He had that mechanical early on. The timing wasn't too bad. The pace was on. We thought, gee, might be in trouble here. And then it backed off. The brake got established, so he got back without any real stress. That's 7 kilometres, just under, before the base of the climb. That's for the leaders. And the peloton, again, not in any big hurry. The gap hasn't come down too much at all, so I don't think they'll drive it into the bottom.
You can almost see it with the pace that they're going up this rise. The road, it makes it feel as if your brakes are rubbing or you've got a slow leak in the back wheel.
A little bit of quicksand. Yeah.
Those alpine roads that are really heavy.
We call them cheese grater roads, don't we? They're not good roads to crash on either.
Are there good roads to crash on?
There's none.
There's just some that are worse than others.
Yeah, and these ones are like that. Yeah, there's not a lot of life in them.
This is Ashley Mackay at the back.
Well, there'll be riders today in this peloton. We've had a couple of tough days. Yesterday was a hot day. It was a warm day, and for the guys in the break, and Ben Hill we talked about with the cramping, there would have been guys in the peloton. There was a few withdrawals actually yesterday, so it showed how tough a day it was. We'll hit the base of the climb, and they will drop the clutch, and they will just ride to make the time cut, and that's it. They know tomorrow's a circuit day. Save the legs, unless you've got an objective on this climb today. Otherwise, save your legs, lose 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then reset the dial for tomorrow.
We've just about got the entire ARA Pro Racing Sunshine Coast team at the back.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders.
And they've got one in the breakaway, and they're down to 6 because they've got one rider who's a non-starter today. So this is all at the back and one in the breakaway. What are your expectations at the base of the climb? Do you think any team will make an acceleration just to break the rhythm early before it settles down?
Okay, I think Sunweb will ride tempo. I think Mitchelton, if they're smart, if I put myself in the director's car for a second of Mitchelton Scott.
And it's Matt Wilson, who is smart.
Who is smart. I would say don't go to the front early, guys. Wait, let's use up Sunweb stocks. They're in yellow. They're going to ride tempo. Even if it's an easier tempo, that's fine. We know the margin, if anything, is going to be small between Jai Hindley and Damien Housen. So they are just going to hedge their bets for that final few kilometres, and that's when I think they'll surge. I think they will surge. I think they'll wait until after the flat section. There's a flat section that comes after about 9 kilometres. That's when I think Mitchelton Scott, sometime after that, with about 5, 6 to go, will put the pressure on.
feeding stops at 20 kilometres to go. There's 20.9 kilometres to go, and Aidan Tuvey has called up the team cart. That's his last chance to take on a fresh water bottle, a little bit of food. He's stocking up before they hit the base of the climb.
He is, and it's that tricky thing. You don't want to carry too much because it's all weight you've got to carry up the climb. You want to carry just enough. Probably a gel is handy. You know, maybe have that liquid gold, black tea can of Coke in the back pocket. Small one that you can sort of slam down before the base or a third of the way up. So you've just got to get your nutrition right, because you've got, at the very best, you've at least got 40, 45 minutes of climbing.
We've lost pictures at the moment. We're going through a short black spot on the race, so we're going to take a look back at what has happened on this tour so far. 95 riders took to the start line of the 67th edition of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour, all getting underway at the Mitchelton Winery for the first stage, taking the peloton from Ngambie through to Shepparton. Amongst the starters, former winners Damien Howson and Cameron Meyer of the Mitchelton Scott team, joined by the Brit Simon Yates, a former winner of the Volta a España, and amongst the pre-race favourites. At the first of the intermediate sprints, it was Roy Effning of the Sapura team collecting the maximum points, and that then provided the launching pad for a breakaway group of 5 riders. Connor Murtagh amongst them in the green colours, so too Ben Hill from Team Bridge Lane. For Bridge Lane and the teammates of Ben Hill, the day didn't quite go according to plan. As they were heading through the midway point of the stage, 3 of the riders from that team were involved in a fall, amongst them their team leader, Nicholas White. White, with heavy bruising on his right side, rejoined the peloton and managed to finish the race. The breakaway group of 5 at one point out to an advantage of 3 minutes and 30 seconds. As they hit the second of the intermediate sprints into Tura, it was Ben Hill collecting the maximum points in the race for the Bright Brewery points classification. Hill was then attacking his former breakaway companions and would go on to be awarded the Quest Shepparton Most Combative Prize. The peloton then swept them up, and it was a charge for the final corner. The sprinters rubbing elbows, looking for the best position inside the last few hundred metres. The Italian fast finisher Alberto Danesi managed to get there first, taking the win ahead of Kaden Groves. In third place, Marino Hoflin. The stage win also giving Alberto Danesi the yellow jersey as race leader.
Again, a lot of experience with the big guys, you know, first year in the World Tour, and in Down Under I could learn a little bit in the sprints with the big guys, and today was a good opportunity to win.
Tourlay Stage 2 of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour, making the 117-kilometre journey from Beechworth to the mountaintop finish at the ski resort of Falls Creek. The yellow jersey starting on the shoulders of Alberto Danesi, the winner of Stage 1. At the first of the intermediate sprints, a breakaway group had formed, and it was Cade Bickmore who was the first across the line in the race for the Bright Brewery points classification. The yellow jersey Danesi playing the role of super domestique. On Team Sunweb, he had a bunch of climbers who were hoping to win to the top of Falls Creek. Onto the mountains, and the attacks were on in earnest. Lachlan Morton was soon joined by Jay Vine. Further back down the road, one of the stories of the day, Simon Yates, a pre-race favourite, was being distanced from the big contenders. Sunweb, they took up the pacemaking, trying to create a bigger gap between their leaders and Yates. Inside the last kilometre, there were just 4 riders in contention. Sebastian Berwick was the first to break ranks to try and win the stage. He was quickly caught. Jai Hindley in the red colours of Sunweb, making it 2 victories in a row for that team. Hindley taking the win, Howson in second position, Berwick in third place. With the stage victory, Jai Hindley moves into the yellow jersey as the overall race leader. Howson is in second place.
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed with my own personal result at Down Under, so yeah, I knew there were some hard stages here, and I was really motivated to come here and do well. So yeah, pretty ecstatic to get the win today.
Bright Velo Stage 3 of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour, the longest of the race, 178 kilometres. Starting from Bright in the heart of the high country, making its way through to Wangaratta. The yellow jersey on the shoulders of yesterday's stage winner, Jai Hindley, with a 4-second buffer over Damien Howson. At the first of the intermediate sprints in the race for the Bright Brewery points classification, Charles Etienne Creatin collecting maximum points. The leader of the competition, Ben Hill, in third place. Hill was hoping to get to the second sprint in Glenrowan. 3 kilometres prior to that, he cramped heavily and lost contact with the breakaway. Leading through Glenrowan, it was the rider in the pink colours, James Whelan, who collected maximum points and a 3-second time bonus. A breakaway which at one point had an advantage of almost 5 minutes, and Whelan, the virtual race leader, was caught just as they crested the top of the final climb, 16 kilometres away from the finish line. The teams of the sprinters then took control of the race as the winner of stage 1, Alberta Danese, was dropped on the climb, clawed his way back and made contact just as they hit the outskirts of Wangaratta. The pink colours of EF were hoping to set up the stage victory for Marino Hofflin. Kaden Groves had strong support from his teammates, including Cameron Meyer, and put himself in the ideal position as they rounded the last left-hand corner with 400 metres to go. It was Marino Hofflin who opened up the sprints. Mikael Ram then threw his hat into the ring, but it was Kaden Groves who burst through to collect his first win of the season, with Alberta Danese in second position, Mikael Ram rounding out the podium in third.
The team's been working so well together and we've been close both stages, and today they are fully committed for me, and yeah, pretty special to win.
The overall race leader, Jai Henley, got through the stage safely. He still remains at the top of the general classification. And in the general classification, it's Hindley on top, 4 seconds ahead of Damien Housen. Sebastian Berwick is in third place at 6 seconds behind. The American Nielsen Powless is the next best at 23 seconds, followed then by Storer, the teammate of Hindley, 47 seconds off the pace. Jesse Ewart is at 59 seconds, followed then by James Whelan, who got 3 seconds back yesterday. He's now at 1:08. Jay Vine is in 8th position, 1 minute and 11 seconds in arrears, followed by Tomo Leba. And then we go back to the breakaway as we pick up the images of the leading group of what is now 6 riders approaching the base of Mount Buller. Their advantage still 3 minutes and 30 seconds over the peloton.
Yes, they've ridden well, the break today. Full gas at the start. It took a little while for it to be established. There was an initial group that went, and a couple of the riders in this group were in that group. I think Ethan Batt and Ben Hill. And, you can see a bit of pressure being mounted now. Ethan Batt, in fact, he's just lost the wheel there. Yonas Ruch quick to go around, so already you can see the pressure being on, and Rice as well at the rear here for ARA, Pro Racing Sunshine Coast. So it looks like Batt and Rice are probably the two that are just starting to struggle here.
And that's before the official start of the climb. They're only a kilometre or so before they reach the base of the climb. Their advantage is back underneath that 3-minute mark. I don't like the chances of this group being able to survive. The green colours, Connor Murtagh,
he's done.
He has surrendered.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised actually. I thought he was going a bit better. He's cooked. He's had a few big days. Yeah, there you go. KOM start. We're on it. We are on the climb.
Through the gates and onto the climb, setting the tempo at the front. Now Ben Hill is sacrificing himself for the rider who's in third spot. That's Aidan Tuvey. That's the man that Pat Shaw has been talking about as a rider from this group who can potentially hold off the peloton. It's a big call.
It's a big call, and it's Ben Hill is worth his weight in gold. What a teammate, what a team player. And now his job is done. He's maximised the points for the day in the Bright Brewery sprint classification. He now switches his focus to playing the team role for Tuvey, and he will drill it for as long as possible. And Yonas Ruch goes, thank you very much. I might just slip on the back for the ride. He's in a good position, Yonas Ruch. 2:32 at the start of the day. He's still the virtual race leader. That will evaporate, but good ride. He's in the break, and I just wonder how far he can go up this climb.
And what about Ben Perry? Ben Perry's not noted as a super climber, but he's not a bad climber. He finished second last year in the Tour of Korea, and you don't get a spot on a World Tour team without being pretty good at everything.
Yeah, exactly. There's no mugs. They don't give out contracts to softies at World Tour. So, I'm intrigued to see how both of those riders will tackle this 16-kilometre climb.
Number 13 at the back here in the pink colours. This is Lachlan Morton, who was aggressive on the climb to Falls Creek. But it looked yesterday as if Lachlan Morton was suffering because of the heat.
I think there was a number of riders that were, and we could see them going through the water bottles, constantly all day. So, no, it was a tough day out there, no doubt about it.
Number 76 at the back. This is Connor Reardon riding for the St George Continental team. He'll be tuning into race radio, crossing his fingers in the hope that Sebastian Berwick can change his white jersey for a yellow jersey.
Wouldn't that be a turn up? That would be a big, big day for that team and for Seb Berwick as well. Peloton under 3 minutes now, 2:58. The Peloton have not gone through the gates. I think the official start of the climb, the sign is just prior to the gates, but the actual gates are after that. So the riders now they're on what I would call the climb proper.
They're on the climb.
Yep.
The breakaway is absolutely on the climb. The Peloton, they're not on it yet.
No, they'll come around the next couple of bends. We might just get a glimpse of those gates.
No,
there's a sign to say the start. I think it's over this next little rise is where they go through the actual gates. But it just shows how hard it is leading into the base. We saw in the break already.
Was that 1 kilometre to the start? Was that say start?
That says KOM start.
KOM start?
Yeah.
Okay. But that's not the gates yet.
No, it's not. I don't believe it is anyway. I think it's around this next bend.
And you're basing your timing off the gates?
Off the gates, yeah. So I hope the cameras
stick
with us, the Peloton. Otherwise, I'm going to have to guess it.
Oh, the producer's listening. Can we get through the gates?
Let's get the Peloton through the gates, yeah.
Well, Yonas is under some pressure at the back.
A little bit.
The gap is opening up ever so slightly, and it's the ducking of their head is a key indication that you are under pressure. Ben Hill is the man who is applying it.
He's brilliant.
He's
brilliant. Oh, don't say it. He's swung off now. Is he going to fight?
Good luck, guys, he said.
Yep. Yonas Rutsch is all right. I thought he was struggling.
He's all right.
He's better than all right.
He's attacking off the front, the biggest rider in the race. All 197 centimetres of him.
He's gone early. He's gone really early. Jeepers.
At 15 kilometres to go.
Yep. He's fine.
Ben Perry responds no problem. Likewise, Aidan Tuvey. Well, that shows how confident he is about being able to climb.
Yeah. I think for his perspective, to be honest, I don't attack or find surge, but ride tempo. Just ride your hard tempo, Yonas Rutsch. He should.
Time trial, and if you've got anybody with you, attack in the last couple of kilometres.
Yeah.
And Aidan Tuvey looks pretty good. Pat Shaw is behind them, and he says Aidan Tuvey looks really good. Through the gates. They've just gone through the gates.
I've started
the clock?
Yep. Might be out by about 10 or 20 seconds, but that's all right. I can live with that. So we're saying about 37 minutes, I believe, is around the quickest time. So
by Simon Guerin. Strava's got quickest times of around 39 minutes.
Jesse Featonby, another Australian from this region. I think he's got the KOM actually.
There goes Alberto Danesi in the green of Bright Brewery points classification. That today will be awarded to Ben Hill. Now his job is done today, Alberto Danesi. He worked all the way to the base of the climb for the yellow jersey of Jai Hindley. That's Chris Miller now being dropped for Nero Racing.
There's Josh Kench, I think, too, from the Black Spoke Pro Cycling Academy.
This is Sebastian Barrett. Now also, I think that will be Max Cantor in the red colours. Or Crow Anderson. I think it was Crow Anderson, it was in fact. It was the next dropped. So it won't be too long before Jai Hindley finds himself with two teammates, Michael Storer and Rob Power. This is Barrett, number 97 for ARA Pro Racing Sunshine Coast.
And look at the speed they're doing in these first couple of kilometres. It's fairly gradual, actually, the first couple of kilometres. It's not that steep. And the road, believe it or not, it feels reasonably quick. So the first couple of Ks are deceiving. You might be on the wheel and feel okay. And if there is a headwind, you'll think, oh, I feel good. This is all right. I'm climbing all right. And then it just kicks up, not steep, but it just goes up another 1 or 2%, and it just makes it harder than what you think, and it just keeps on going. Then it's pretty relentless until that sort of flat section after 9 odd kilometres.
The 3 leaders are still holding on to advantage of almost 3 minutes, and when the race last came here in 2008, when Chris Froome was in second position, at the base of the climb, the breakaway had about 3 minutes and 20 seconds, and Chris Yongerwood from a breakaway group of 9 was the sole survivor. These are the last few switchbacks across the final kilometre, and you could get to that last kilometre still with a 1 minute advantage and be caught.
You could, yeah. You can't, there's no freewheel here. It really does kick up the last kilometre. You can see there's a lot of trees still, but believe it or not, it is a little bit exposed. The wind can whip off the side of the mountain there. Back with the peloton now, and you can see one by one.
Connor Murtagh in the green colours on the right-hand side of the screen. Oliver's Real Food Racing. He spent the day in the breakaway, kaput, caught by the peloton, survived, but well done, Connor.
Yeah, well done. And look, it didn't take long for the peloton to bring back those dropped riders. We're just taking another look now.
Shows how quickly an advantage can collapse when you hit the wall.
Yeah, for sure. So this is the last 500 metres here. This is a live shot of the finishing 500 metres, and they just curve around to the right there, and the finish line literally is right there. The road does continue up. In previous years, in fact, it's now a pathway just slightly to the left there. You see that clock tower? That used to be a road, and they'd finish outside the resort chalet called A-Bomb, which at the time, and they still do own a lot of the land on this mountain. Slightly easier finish today, but still, I think we'll get the result that we want. We'll get a battle that we want anyway.
It will be a fantastic battle, I'm sure, particularly when you give the top three are separated by just 6 seconds.
Yeah.
It's Jai Hindley in the yellow jersey, 4 seconds to Damien Howson, 6 seconds is the gap for Sebastian Berwick. And don't discount Nielsen Palace, who's at 23 seconds behind.
Yeah.
But for him, 23 seconds must seem like a lot when you've got to close that down.
Yeah, but he's a quality rider, isn't he? And again, I'll say, like what we said at the start of the show, 23 seconds really on a summit finish, 16 kilometres.
10 second time bonus for the stage win.
Yeah, so he needs 13. Maybe needs a couple more than that if he wants to.
And then depends on where Jai Hindley finishes.
Yeah.
Because there's time bonuses for second and third as well.
True. But if he was to get the lead, he's got a pretty good team to help defend it tomorrow around the Botanic Gardens, hasn't he?
I'd like it to come down tomorrow to time bonuses.
So would I.
To sprinting for the top, that'd be fantastic.
We're brutal, aren't we? We're brutal. We want it tight. Look, I think it will be tight. Based on Falls Creek, as much as it's a different climb to what we've got today. Today, arguably, is harder, shorter but harder. There was really nothing separated the top three. And I'd like to see Nielsen Palace find his legs as a bit more of an experienced pro. He might actually have better legs. His recovery might be a little bit better.
Optus Stage 4 for the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. Unfortunately, the riders are in a small black spot. Let's take a look at the stage so far. Got underway in Mansfield, the green jersey at the front, Alberto Danesi, not thinking about himself, but thinking very much about his team leader, the yellow jersey, Jai Hindley. As soon as the flag came in, the attacks got underway, and at one point there was a breakaway group of 22.
Yes, well, it was two groups that formed, wasn't it, off the front? And then in the end, there was this group here, including Ben Hill. He took the first intermediate sprint, no mistakes, to the second across the line, so that helped his cause. Hill kept driving it along, and the New Zealander there for Black Spoke, Ethan Batt. Connor Murtagh taking the king of the mountains over Tolmy. That was a good result for him. Break continued on. They kept climbing up here, in fact. No descent initially. Then they got off the descent, 90 kilometres an hour, incidentally, on that fast downhill. Williams, he was left behind on the descent. I know that's hard to believe. He was gapped and he never got back on for Quartermentha Australian national team. And all the while, this team here, Sunweb, everything really is going to plan for them.
I felt for David Williams when he did get distanced on the way down. He did the hard work. It was on the descent that he lost contact, and it wasn't particularly technical. It was just really, really quick. This is the road heading towards Merrijig, and then that's Mount Buller in the distance. The peloton's currently on Mount Buller. Sunweb, a lot of work at the front, protecting that man, the Western Australian Jai Hindley. He looked so composed on Falls Creek, and he looked confident this morning when he spoke with Pat Shaw, and this is where they're headed to. This is Mount Buller.
Yeah, it is. It's a great destination, and it's not the first time the race has come up here before. We've spoken about it, and we saw the recap from Chris Yongerborn when the world became known of the man Chris Froome, second on that stage, riding for Team Barlow World. So it's showcased some superstars here, and today I think it's going to do the same again. It's a good climb, and as I look out, we've got a view. If I look over the screen for a second, the wind, there is a bit of wind, but I think there was more wind about early this morning, Matt.
Definitely. So the race is currently in a situation with 3 riders out in front. Their advantage is 2 minutes and 30 seconds over the peloton, which includes the yellow jersey. His teammates of Sunweb are setting the tempo.
It's exciting to be coming back to the Herald Sun Tour this year. I believe it's the first race that I've come to as defending champion, and being able to pin #1 on my jersey is pretty cool. We've been here at Mitchelton Wines for the last couple of days since the Cadell Evans race. Absolutely enjoying it. It's the first time I've had the pleasure of staying here. So we've been enjoying these beautiful surroundings and eating some lovely local food and just generally relaxing. The accommodation here at Mitchelton Wines has been outstanding. For a race hotel, just a step above everything. Beautiful, comfortable rooms and nice pool and just lovely grounds around it. Every other race hotel's got a lot to live up to. We rode through Ngambie this morning. It was the first time I'd actually ridden through Ngambie. It's a really lovely little town actually there on the lake. We sat and had a coffee by the lake. But between training and racing, I like to eat a lot. I'm a bit of a foodie, so I enjoy eating good food and drinking coffee, spending time with friends, and just generally trying to not think about cycling too much actually, get away from it a little bit.
That was Lucy Kennedy, the winner of the Lexus of Blackburn Herald Sun Tour, and this is the stunning town of Mansfield. Reasonably small in population, but it does blossom throughout the holiday period. It's a popular destination, just 2 hours to the north of Melbourne, and then a 1 hour drive from there up to the ski fields of Mount Buller. Wineries, they're not too far away either. Easy access through to the King Valley, and it is a stunning spot where the movie The Man from Snowy River was filmed. David McKenzie with you and me, Matthew Keenan. We're at the finish line on Mount Buller. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of picture breakup, but the leading 3, they're still holding on to an advantage of a little more than 2 minutes over the peloton that's been led by Team Sunweb, the team of Jai Hindley. Hindley, he importantly has Michael Storer with him, who sits in 5th position overall. And Michael Storer, well, he's less than a minute behind that yellow jersey, so they've got a couple of cards to play. These are our 3 leaders. Yonas Rush is the right at the front in the pink colours. 2nd position is Ben Perry. 3rd place is Aiden Tuvey.
Yes, and look at the gear that Jonas Rush is turning here, the German. He's a big man, but he knows how to turn the big gears. And at the rear there, though, Tuvey, he's pedalling. I'm liking his cadence. That's sort of what I'd prefer to see. Perry, not too bad either. He's content to just follow the wheels at the moment. But these 3, look, the longer Sunweb just ride a tempo and not a super hard tempo, that gives these 3 an opportunity. It gives them a chance, I should say, to hold that peloton, or what will be left of the peloton. It won't be at the top. It'll be a handful of riders, but they've got an opportunity.
So in this situation, Aiden Tuvey, he rides for Bridge Lane. It's a domestic team from Australia. The pink colours, EF Education First World Tour. They've had Rigoberto Urán finish 2nd at the Tour de France. Israel Startup Nation for the first time this year, they're a World Tour team. Aiden Tuvey can sit on both those guys and say, hey, you're the big kids in town, you do the work.
Yes, he can. At some point, that'll only wash for so long, so he still won't have to work, but they'll get annoyed with him, and you just got to play the bluff.
So
play
what?
The bluff, yeah. So what? Well, at some point, but then you've got to weigh up how good is Tuvey feeling. If he's feeling great, at some point, if he gets a time gap and thinks, okay, I need to do something, it's either attack or contribute to that workload if he thinks he can get the better of those 2.
Back with the peloton, number 57 in the blue colours of Sephora. That's Jesse Ewart, and he's well placed overall, Jesse. Yeah. He sits in 6th position at just 59 seconds down.
He's a little bit further down in that group for my liking, though, I must say. If he's
given his position.
Yeah, 6th overall.
Ben Perry now at the back of the group. The very talkative Canadian. We've heard his voice a lot throughout today's stage.
I think it's stopped now, though. I think
it's hard to talk at 180 beats per minute.
And Tuvey has just gone in between them now, so he's sort of forced Tuvey to go around him at least. Jonas Rush, you see the flick of the elbow there, looks over his right shoulder. Just a picture breakup. We've got to come back to the peloton here.
This is still a really big group. Number 1, that is Simon Yates. 5 is Nick Schultz. They're hoping that they can support Damien Housen, I can't spot at the moment. He's in here somewhere. There he is, number 2, up near the front, sitting well positioned in 5th spot. He is 4 seconds off winning this race for the 2nd time.
Perry, he's content to share the workload with Yonas Rutsch on this climb. And look, these lower slopes, you actually can get a bit of assistance sitting on the wheel in the slipstream. I don't mean wind, it's just that, it's just like a 2-3% saving, I think, sitting on the wheel. So it does make a difference. It's not super steep, but it is consistent.
Cameron Meyer now coming forward to assist Yates and Schultz to go to the front. Got some team support on the side of the road. Number 11, Mitch Docker. Mitch Docker is not renowned as a climber, but he's climbing well this year.
Yeah, he's climbing well, certainly. January, he's been good. He's been rock solid. It'll be a good start to the season for him, and once again, his attention then will, post this summer of cycling, will switch towards the Spring Classics. He hasn't had the best of luck, has he, at the Spring Classics in the last few years, but I think you keep going back, at some point your numbers got to come up. So I'd love to see Mitch Docker he's one of those riders, I think, at Flanders or Roubaix, he needs to have a perfect day on the bike, as in physically, feeling, and he needs a little bit of luck, and you just never know what might unfold. But he gets those two, and he could be right there in the mix of either of those classics.
Johan van Summeren won Paris-Roubaix.
That's the rider who I was trying to think of. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Number 22, setting the tempo at the front of the peloton for Sunweb, that is Rob Power. Behind him is Florian Stork. And then it is Michael Storer. Next in line is the yellow jersey, Jai Hindley. So Hindley still has 3 really good teammates with him.
Yeah, and look, the onus is on them at the moment to ride that tempo. The gap's down to 140, so they've got that under control. Yonas Rutsch, he started the day at 2:32, so no issues there. At the moment, it's a little bit just like, we don't want Mitchelton to attack yet, so we've just got to go hard enough to sort of make them second guess it, second think about it. We know they're going to, and this is Sunweb talking, they know they're going to launch at some point or ride a hard tempo. We just want to try and put it off as late as possible.
Just spotted number 124 sitting a fair way back. That's Jay Vine, and he's sitting inside the top 10 in the overall classification. He's in 8th position and 1 minute and 11 seconds behind. There he is, 124. He would like to move a little bit further forward. This is a climb that suits Jay Vine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a couple of smokies here today, climbers. That Michael Freeberg for ARA Pro Racing Sunshine Coast. So Freeberg, he's a big boy too, 80-odd kilos.
82 kilos.
Yeah, he's doing well to still be in this group.
Angus Lyons in the green colours for Oliver's Real Food Racing.
Yep.
Going around the outside, number 66, that's Sam Hill from Bridge Lane. There's Docker, number 11 in the pink colours. Docker would like to provide some assistance for their team leader, who is number 14 in the pink colours, out of the saddle up near the front, and that's the American climber, Neilson Powless. And Docker, he's having a conversation as he's riding around the outside. Hello, Simon, how are you?
And now, just to give you an update, Matt, we started the clock, what we thought was around the base, through the toll gates. 15 minutes. The record, we believe, is somewhere around 37. So in another 3-4 minutes, they're at the halfway mark of the climb, but the hardest half is still to come.
Indeed it is. There is Simon Yates, number 1, who came into the race as the protected rider for Mitchelton Scott. And on the stage to Falls Creek, Damien Housen was working for Simon Yates. And with 7 kilometres to go, Damien got the call. You're the leader. Simon's gone.
Well, we were chatting the other night, weren't we, at dinner with Pat Shaw, and he had a chat with Damien Housen. He said, this is what I thought was happening. You were playing the support role. Simon was the man. And in the end, Damien said, absolutely right. It was as big a shock to me as it was to you. We thought Simon was going to be the one for this race, and he said I had to switch my mindset, and he did that. So, and Damien, look, the quality that he is.
You just saw the red jersey off to the right-hand side of the road, right-hand side of the screen. That was Rob Power being dropped. So Jai Hindley, the yellow jersey, is less one teammate.
And I think we've gone away from the pan of the peloton, Matt. There was a small attack. It looked like a surge off the front of the peloton. Oh, we'll have to come back to it. We've just lost some pictures. We're in a bit of a black spot. Yeah, just as the peloton, Sunweb on the front, to me it looked like there was a little bit of an acceleration. So hopefully we'll get pictures back to the peloton shortly.
There was definitely an acceleration at the front because Yonas Rushd, once again, was attacking his breakaway companions, Ben Perry and also Aidan Tuvey. So the biggest guy in the race is leading on one of the biggest mountains in Victoria as he heads towards the top of the summit of Mount Buller. He's on the charge.
He is, and this is the summit here. The bitumen there that you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, that's with about 200 metres left to go in the stage. But it just ramps up in the last 1.5 kilometres. It really does. Now you can absolutely, the pace has gone on here. Look at this, there's single file here. Riders swinging out. Touche. Oh, golly. They're doing 30, 35 kilometres an hour up this section. There has been a surge, Matt. Look at this. A couple of riders have jumped off the front here. And it looks like a Sunweb rider. It looked like a red jersey.
No, that looked pink to me. I think Mitch Docker has attacked with Nelson Powless or perhaps James Whelan behind him. And I would imagine that they are doing the job for Nelson Powless because surely James Whelan is cooked after his big day in the breakaway yesterday. In addition to that, James Whelan starts 1 minute and 8 seconds behind in the general classification. By comparison, Powless is at just 23 seconds behind.
Wow. Well, that's... and I'll tell you what other jersey it could have been. St George Continental. It was a sort of darker sort of colours. I'm wondering if there's a rider there. There were 2 riders, 2 different jerseys was what I saw. Well, we just need live pics to come back. We apologise. Of course, it's black spot areas where we just cannot get live pictures. That's the reason why. We'll be straight back to them as soon as possible.
If it was St George Continental attacking, I'll buy dinner tonight.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Great.
Their strategy...
All right, I'll put my order in.
Their strategy, surely, with Sebastian Berwick, is to wait patiently.
Maybe, or maybe, get one up the road. Follow EF if they attack, send one up there and then have him up there for Sebastian Berwick. He will follow, no doubt, Henley. They'll be confident he can follow Henley and Damien Housen.
I don't think they've got anybody to do the legs to offer that support. Sebastian Berwick has got to ride conservatively. He wears the white jersey as the leader of the Visit Victoria Best Young Rider classification. This is the suffering at the back of the peloton. Ari Scott is the rider in the dark blue colours.
This is a great ride by Ari Scott, the young New Zealander. He's just hanging on, but he's putting in a big effort.
There's Seb Berwick in white, sitting behind the yellow jersey.
So he's following. Yep.
So I'm not buying you dinner.
No, you might be. No, I didn't say it was him that attacked.
Nelson Powless is still in this group as well. There's Mark O'Brien in the white colours of the Quarter Mentor Australian national team. They've got a few riders in this group. Rudy Porter is still there, and he sits in second position in the race for the Visit Victoria white jersey of the best young rider.
And the gap now down to 54 seconds, so it is the pendulum is swinging in the favour of the group now, the lead group.
Swinging?
Yeah.
Swung.
It's swung, you think? It's done, is it?
It's swung.
Okay, 48 seconds. So that surge, whoever it was that attacked, they have really now sort of halved that margin. So Yonas Rushd, let's see if he's got any other tricks up his sleeve. 7 kilometres to go.
And that might have been the pink jersey just around the corner that we could see from the breakaway.
Yeah, possibly. 20 minutes, nearly 21 minutes, the peloton have been climbing. Record up here is around the 37-minute mark. So they'll, give or take, they'll be here in less than 20 minutes time.
Well, Mount Buller is the destination. Optus Stage 4 for the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. Tomorrow the final stage is around the Botanic Gardens. Unless it comes down to those time bonuses, we're not expecting any big changes in the overall classification tomorrow, but it has happened in the past.
Yeah, what if nothing changes? What if it is 4 seconds? I mean...
Then the intermediate sprints are on tomorrow.
They're on tomorrow, and you would think with Daenerys there for Sunweb, the team of Jai Hindley, the sprinter, he's won a stage. It's Mitchelton's got to go and have their work cut out. It's almost impossible, I'd say, for Damien Housen. He's not going to get any intermediates, is he?
Well, if you believe it's impossible, you're right. If you believe it's possible, you're a chance.
Yeah.
That's the final part of the climb of Mount Buller. Once again, we do apologise for the bits of picture breakup. We're just struggling with a couple of the dark spots on the climb in terms of our mobile coverage. We'll get you back to live pitches as soon as we can, and rest assured we want to see them as much as you do, because this race up to this point has been fascinating. Right from the very start in Nagambie on day one, where the stage finished in Shepparton and it was taken out by Alberto Danesi. And then day two, when we saw Jai Hindley take the yellow jersey to the top of Falls Creek. Yesterday it was a brilliant stage victory into Wangaratta by Kaden Groves, who was so patient coming around the all-important final corner.
He was, and it was a real fist pump, wasn't it? And look, for the success that Mitchell and Scott have had, and it's his first year with the squad, first year in the World Tour ranks. I think he just wants to impress the team initially. And for sprinters, a lot of the time, the work is done for them. And there's only one winner each day, so you don't win all the time, but you're lining up for the sprints day in, day out. So I think he already felt that pressure of just wanting to award his teammates for the work that they'd done for him, and he got the job done in the end. So he's just one of those, himself and Dainese, they're two young sprinters now, the next wave that are coming through, that in the next few years, both of them would like to think that they can be lining up at the Tour de France.
Well, in a sport where there's often more than 150 riders on the start line, you lose more than you win. This is out in front. Ben Perry with Yonas Roche still trying to work together. Their advantage is 36 seconds. Pat Shaw, what do you make of the current race situation?
Yes, we've got this is really starting to fire up now. It's EF Education, First Pro Cycling. They're putting all the pressure on the front of the peloton. It is still two riders in front, Roche and Perry. However, Tuvi really disrupted that group in front.
And it looked like Perry just getting a little bit frustrated with Roche there. We're just watching a replay. He's waving him to come through. What's sort of been happening?
Well, to be fair, Perry's been frustrated with everyone since about kilometre 10 of the race. He's been throwing his hands in the air. He's been cursing the riders for going for King of the Mountains and sprint points. So I just think he's not a very happy person today. That's all right. He's ridden a great race. But the peloton is coming, and they are screaming up the climb. We've got about 5.5 kilometres till we get to the finish.
Aiden Tuvey has just been caught by the peloton. Sunweb, at the moment, from the images that we're seeing, are controlling the peloton. Do you see any concerns today for Jai Hindley?
No, in fact, I think he'll win the stage. I think he's the best climber here, and we'll just want to be keeping a close eye on the white young riders jersey, because that is really the revelation of this tour, and that's Seb Berwick from the St. George Continental team.
Oh, that was going to be my next question, Pat. I'm almost thinking he could be the real challenger today to Jai Hindley other than the others.
Well, sadly, on day 4 of this, fatigue is the only thing that makes me think that he's this going off the market.
I think we're losing Pat once again. Apologies for that breakup, and just shows we are in that black spot area. It won't be long, hopefully, and we'll be out of that area. This is the area we want to get to because it opens up a bit and we'll get vision back. I tell you what, the anxiety, I think we're all feeling it, aren't we?
I want to be down there. I want to know what's... At least Pat's got a position where he's sitting behind the race.
He's got a great
And the fact that we haven't got any coverage with Pat on the phone highlights the reasons why we can't get any coverage from the race itself, as the images are being beamed around the world via 4G, as the Jayco Herald Sun Tour makes its way towards the top of Mount Buller for Optus Stage 4. A stage that got underway in Mansfield. It's 106 kilometres. A relatively short stage by world standards, but short stages have proven to be the most dynamic and the most entertaining in recent years.
Oh, they have, haven't they, in any tour that we do. And so here we go, live pictures again. So it's Perry, Yonas Roche. We will just about see the peloton, I would think, behind.
5Ks to go.
Yep. So they start to get a few hairpin turns now, Matt. Here's one of them here. And probably 3 or 4 hairpin turns before the 1.5 kilometres to go. And then they've got Hell Corner, as we saw in that recce. And there it is there, the last couple of kilometres. You can see those switchbacks. There's 1, 2, 3, all inside the last 1.5 kilometres. It really does deliver in spades, this climb.
It's appropriately known. The corner that the 2 leaders were just going around is unnamed corner. Being unnamed is named.
Exactly. Who named it? Unnamed. That's what I want to know. 26 minutes, 27 minutes almost now. The peloton have been climbing. So that says they are roughly 10 to 12 minutes away from finishing the stage if they are going to ride on record time up this climb.
That's one of the spots where there's drop-offs to go skiing. There's a huge amount of skiing on this mountain at Mount Buller. In fact, it is the mountain in the Victorian Alpine region with the most on-mountain accommodation. You can ski straight to your door. Also been lots of bike races up here over the years, dating back to the late 1980s. I think it was 1989 was the first Melbourne to Mount Buller, from the Rialto up to the top of Mount Buller. Maybe it was the 1990 edition that was won by Peter Bazanko.
Yeah, in atrocious conditions. Would you believe it? It was in November, going into our summer months here. It snowed something like, I think, 10 centimetres overnight. I stayed on the mountain as a young teenager. I was with my older brother watching him race. He got hypothermia on the finish. I'm laughing about it. I can now.
Because it wasn't you.
He recovered. It wasn't me. But he actually got seriously hypothermia. Peter Bazanko, who was one of the great domestique Australian pros, and he won. It was a freezing cold day, and I blew the engine up in the car on the way down the mountain.
Pat Shaw has just sent a text message saying that the Mitchelton Scott team are trying to attack. They're using Simon Yates and Dion Smith to see if they can put the yellow jersey of Jai Hindley under pressure.
Good stuff, Pat. Keep those messages coming, and that is exactly what I thought, Matt. They will wait until the last 4 or 5 kilometres, Mitchelton Scott. And, well, in fact, it's 4 kilometres is where they've gone. Now we see
this is the peloton.
Group. Yep.
Back of the peloton, the green colours are Oliver's Real Food Racing. That's Angus Lyons. Sam Hill in front of him. And this is quick enough for sitting the wheel to be a drafting advantage.
Well, it's a relatively big group still. I'm almost a little bit surprised at how many riders are still left in this group. And you're dead right. The quicker they go, the more advantage you get sitting on that wheel there. So there's no guarantees in terms of stage win. Anyone in that group could win. Based on what we saw at Falls Creek in the women's Lexus of Blackburn, you could struggle here, get back on in the last 400 metres, potentially still win the stage. There'll be a couple of riders there that have got a bit more punch than the likes of Jai Hindley, Damien Housen. So this is going to be an intriguing finish, just the stage in itself, forgetting about the GC for a moment.
And reports from on the road are that Dion Smith from Mitchelton Scott has jumped out of the peloton and he has bridged across to the 2 leaders.
Wow.
So he's one of the teammates of Damien Housen, and it's not Dion Smith that they're hoping wins the stage. It's Dion being out in front for Damien then to go across to in the hope that Damien Housen can win the stage. So he takes the time bonus. So he moves into the yellow jersey so he can win this race again as he did in 2017.
3.2 kilometres to go. That's to the leaders. And the clock that I've got on now is right on 30 minutes. 30 minutes, 37 is about the record. So not long. It means they're going to fly up this last few kilometres, doesn't it? And it's relatively steep as well. So it's been a quick climb, that's for sure.
As Neil van der Ploeg described the climb, it is the last few Ks that are the most difficult. And he's anticipating average speeds of around about 24, 25 Ks per hour up this climb, which is moving.
Yeah, they'll fly. They'll absolutely fly. And look, for Housen and Hindley, they've been on the wheel all day, the last 2 days, in fact. They'll have relatively fresh legs, and they know it's full gas because today most likely will decide the winner of the race.
Let's go down to Pat Shaw. Pat, what can you tell us? Pat Shaw, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Dion Smith, he's doing a great job at the front, but this peloton is roaring up from behind. Rush still there. Perry, day over.
So just clarify again, what's the situation at the front of the race?
Dion Smith, he leads with Rush. They are the only leaders now. Perry has been picked up by the peloton as we speak. There's a surge of pace and acceleration from Israel Startup Nation.
What's the Sunweb team doing? What role is Michael Storer playing at the moment?
Michael Storer at the peloton. It's Piccoli. It's James Piccoli who attacks Israel Startup Nation. He has already made contact with the 2 leaders, Dion Smith, Mitchelton Scott, and Jonas Rush from the EF from Cycling. They come around the turn into our sight now, and he's gone straight around them. The Israel Startup Nation rider, Piccoli, the Canadian, he goes forward. He's really pushing to the line. I think he's motivated and he's got the speed behind him, guys.
Piccoli is a good climber. He was second last year in the Tour of Utah, which is high altitude, so he'll like this climb.
And what about back in the... what's happening in the peloton, Pat? Any surges now from the likes of Housen or Jai Hindley?
Not just yet, but it's going to happen shortly. We come around the corner, we see the 2 kilometre to go banner, and Coley, for mine, guys, it's going to be difficult to catch him. He looks like he's riding on the flat.
Here he is, number 36. We're back with live pictures. Thanks for the update, Pat. In terms of the race overall and the battle for the yellow jersey, James Piccoli is no threat. He's at 17 minutes and 6 seconds behind. This is the next move from Mitchelton Scott. Simon Yates jumps out of the group. There's Dion Smith just in front of him, along with Yonas Rush. They are laying the foundations for a move from Damien Housen.
Well, it's going to have to come very, very soon, Matt, because it's so close to the finish now. And I'm not sure Yates might even go for the stage win here, because I'm surprised. I think Housen needed to be on the wheel. They've got to test Jay Hindley. They can't wait until a kilometre to go. You've got to test him sooner than that. Look, it's a big enough group still here. So Jai Hindley really, he doesn't have to worry about Mitchelton Scott. He's now got to just watch the wheel of Damien Housen to go on the attack. Seb Berwick, there he is in the white jersey, so he's nicely placed.
Housen still has 2 teammates with him in this group. Number 6, the Australian champion Cameron Meyer. 5 is Nick Schultz. They are ready to make a big move. They have to. Storer still sets the tempo.
And it looks like one of the Mitchelton Scott riders potentially has just swung away. He's done the job for Simon Yates potentially. Is it on the left of the screen there? I think it's Dion Smith.
That is
Mitchelton Scott, yep.
That is Dion Smith.
Yep, I think it is. Yep, so his job is done.
This is
number
Callum
7,
White.
yep.
So Dion Smith at the back of the
It's
group.
still a decent group. Look at the size of this group. 1.4 kilometres to go. You've got 20-odd riders together.
And there's number 15 in the pink colours, Jonas Rush. This is Yates. There's Piccoli just around the corner. So Yates is going for the stage
He's
victory,
going for the stage win. Yeah, absolutely. I think they're trying to salvage something, and they're going to rely on the other riders in the Mitchelton Scott team to help Damien Housen. To me, Housen should have jumped with him, and if he didn't, if it's tactical or maybe he just wasn't good enough.
Well, Piccoli's going to be difficult to catch. He's been a stage winner at the Tour of Utah. Now, that is high altitude. He also finished in 2nd place overall there last year. Yates, he wasn't great to Falls Creek, and he doesn't look at his best on Mount Buller.
He's trying to salvage something from his summer of racing here in Australia. He's going to use every little trick in the book, every bit of energy he's got. But particularly, this is the hardest part. 1 kilometre to go. This is the hardest part. The 2 switchbacks here. Look at the speed wash away and look at the ramp there that it goes up. But Piccoli, he's got the upper hand at the moment because he's got that gap. He can ride in his rhythm. If Yates gets close, he's going to have to surge. If Piccoli rides smart, he'll be ready for it. If Yates gets within 20 metres of him, he can surge again and potentially ride away. Meanwhile, back here, Jai Hindley, Storer doing everything that we expected him to do.
There is the race leader, the yellow jersey. The attack comes at 1 kilometre to go by the young sensation. Seb Berwick has opened up a gap. He's almost the virtual race leader. The yellow jersey knows it, and Hindley responds.
Well, he's responding, but Berwick, this is perfect. And look, we almost said this would be the tactic of Dave Sanders, the director sportif. He knows this climb better than any other director sportif. But Jai Hindley is following. Where is Damien Housen?
Gone. And that's why Yates had the green light, but Yates is gone as well. He's been caught. Jai Hindley, the yellow jersey, follows the white jersey of the best young rider, Sebastian Berwick. Whether he wins or not, he is the revelation of the race.
And Jesse Ewart in 6th place at 59 seconds. He's having a good day as well. They might catch Piccoli yet. They're getting him in his sights here.
This is going to be desperately close. The Queenslander is sprinting, and we saw in the women's race, it came down to the last 450 metres. Hindley is on the ropes. He's on the tip of his saddle. James Piccoli has been caught. Sebastian Berwick is setting the tempo, and Hindley is surviving.
Well, Berwick is pushing himself into 2nd place overall, and he's going to turn the screws again. He has to. This is it. This is it. win or lose today on the slopes of Mount Buller. There's one last little kick here, Matt. You can see it in the distance. It's only about 100 metres, but it can absolutely demoralise you here, and Berwick is going to try it.
And if he wins the stage with Henley in second position and no gap between them, we go into the stage tomorrow with just a 2-second time gap. Sebastian Berwick is sprinting. Jai Henley is sticking with him. It's not over until it's over. Sebastian Berwick, one of the youngest riders in the race. The white jersey is sewn up, but it's the yellow he's chasing. Jai Henley, this is some defence. It's not simple defence. It's an extension of his lead. Jai Henley over the top. This is a heroic performance. Berwick has been brilliant, but it's Henley who is heroic as he takes the stage win. Berwick in second position. Jay Vine in third place on the stage for Nero Continental. It's then Jesse Hewitt followed by Nielsen Powless. Yates and Housen come across the line together. Extraordinary performance by Jai Henley to defend the yellow jersey. Bravery from Sebastian Berwick. That was an entertaining final kilometre. The attack that we expected, it was delivered. Rudy Porter just going across the line for the quarter meant for Australian team. So too Mark O'Brien. And it's dribs and drabs. The peloton that looked rather large with 2 kilometres to go has been splintered to riders finishing in ones and twos. Great to see the CFA out with the checkered flag. They've done an enormous job. They've been so busy, unfortunately, over the past month or so with the bushfires throughout the Victorian High Country, across East Gippsland and throughout New South Wales with their fire authority as well. This is the Australian National Road Champion Cameron Meyer now coming across the finish line at 1 minute and 22 seconds down. And Sebastian Berwick in the white colours, full credit to him. He threw everything that he had at Jai Henley. But Henley, the stage winner to Falls Creek, is the stage winner as well to the top of Mount Buller. And now he is just about locked in to add his name to the honour roll of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. The little time bonus will be important. He started the day with a 6-second advantage over Sebastian Berwick. With that time bonus on the line, he'll move to a 10-second advantage over second place. Jesse Hewitt was the next to cross. Then it was Nielsen Powless, followed by Yates and Housen. Housen has done enough to hold on to third position in the general classification. In fact, that was Nick Schiltz, not Yates. It was Nick Schiltz who was leading Damien Housen across the line. David McKenzie has left the commentary position, and he's never run so quickly in his life. He's out to try and track down the stage winner and the man in yellow, Jai Henley. Confirmation of the stage results: Henley ahead of Berwick. It was then Jay Vine in third place, Jesse Hewitt in fourth, Nielsen Powless in fifth position, followed by Schiltz and Housen across the line together. Piccoli was bold, but not quite enough to get there in eighth. Garcia Fernandez was in ninth position, and it was Tom Lebar rounding out the top 10. And in the general classification, it's Henley on top with a 10-second advantage over Sebastian Berwick, with Damien Housen at 36 seconds behind. So he secures a spot on the podium inside the top 3. Then the American Nielsen Powless in fourth position at 51 seconds, and Jesse Hewitt in fifth place. Next best in sixth is Jay Vine, then Michael Storer, Tom Lebar in eighth, Rudy Porter in ninth position, and then the first of the Kiwis, James Oram, in 10th place. Let's get down to David McKenzie with, I'm assuming, a pretty happy Jai Henley.
Jai Henley, we knew it all came down to today. I'll tell you what, your team somewhere were brilliant, and then you finished it off.
Yeah, the guys are incredible. Like, really, just rode the front from K1, you know, and yeah, and just so relieved I could pay off all their hard work. So yeah, this is a pretty special one.
Michael Storer, I said to Matthew Keenan in commentary, I don't think you guys needed to even exchange words. He would have known exactly what needed to be done. what tempo needed to be ridden. You've been teammates, you've come through the system together. Pretty special feeling having him by your side today.
Yeah, it's amazing, eh? Like, yeah, I've known Michael for like for yonks, so yeah, to have him ride in the final for me like that it was unreal. You know, I didn't have to say anything. He knew exactly what tempo to do, when to accelerate, when to ride. He was just phenomenal, as with the other boys. So.
What about Seb Berwick? I tell you what, isn't it great to see young Australians? But I guess with a 2K to go, you probably weren't thinking that. That was a great ride.
Yeah, hats off to him. He threw the kitchen sink at me today, but yeah, it was super impressive. So congrats to him. He's riding super strong. Yeah.
There's a rich history, 67 editions. I look down the honour roll, and still a day to go, but you've got that yellow jersey, and you'll lead it into Melbourne tomorrow. How does it feel?
Yeah, it's really special. I mean, I said it before, but I really love the Sun Tour. Yeah, this is the third time I've done it now, and it's for an Australian guy to race here, it's really special. So, yeah, to wear the jersey into the final stage tomorrow is, yeah, a bit lost for words.
Well done. Enjoy it.
Thanks, man. Cheers.
Jai Hindley making it clear just how important this race is to him. His third participation in the race. He's always performed well. This time he'll be wearing the yellow jersey at the start of the final stage, and he's in a position which will make him difficult to beat. His nearest rival, Sebastian Berwick, is 10 seconds behind. Plenty of the other riders congratulating Jai Hindley on his performance today, and not just his defence of his yellow jersey, but the extension of his overall race lead. Damien Housen is in third position. Let's take a look back at Optus Stage 4. It all got underway down in Mansfield with Jai Hindley signing on and looking relatively composed. His teammate wearing the green jersey, Alberta Danesi, not interested in defending his lead in the battle for the Bright Brewery points classification, as Ben Hill moved himself into the breakaway and picked up maximum points at the first of the intermediate sprints through Mansfield. Part of the breakaway group was also his teammate, Aidan Tuvey, who assisted him at the intermediate sprint. Onto the first climb, it was Connor Murtagh from the Oliver's Real Food Racing team who picked up maximum points across the top of that climb. Breakaway group wasn't given too much of an advantage from the peloton, just out to a lead of 3 minutes and 30 seconds at one point as Mount Buller loomed large in the distance. Hindley was well protected by his teammates in the peloton as Sunweb set the tempo. No real threats from the breakaway. The rider in the pink colours from EF Education first, Yonas Rush, the nearest rival at 2 minutes and 32 seconds behind. Onto the climb, and it was Rob Power who was setting the tempo early with 2 kilometres to go. It was another one of the riders from the Israel Cycling Academy team, James Piccoli, who was on the attack. But then the race really got underway. There were attacks aplenty. Simon Yates was amongst them. He was on the charge looking to try and get the stage victory. But then it was the battle for overall race honours. And the white jersey for the Visit Victoria Best Young Rider classification, that was not on the mind of Sebastian Berwick. He wanted yellow. So he threw everything he had at Jai Hindley. It looked like he might have had Hindley on the ropes for a little while as Hindley was all the way to the tip of the saddle, but the Western Australian had the answers. Sliding up the inside of Sebastian Berwick, it was stage win number 2 for Jai Hindley. Repeating his victory from Falls Creek, he collects yet another success at the top of one of the high country passes in Victoria, this time on Mount Buller. Berwick across the line in second position. They finished on the same time. It was just the time bonuses that enabled an extension of the lead for Jai Hindley over Sebastian Berwick. Damien Housen, he finished outside the top 3 on the stage, but he did enough to defend his position inside the top 3 in the general classification with 1 stage remaining. Let's now get down to the man who's in second position overall. He's with David McKenzie. Here's Sebastian Berwick. Sebastian Berwick has the white jersey as the leader of the Visit Victoria Best Young Rider classification, but his performance today wasn't about white, it was about yellow. Here he is now.
Seb Berwick, well, I tell you what, I didn't know much about you before the start of the race, but you've risen to the occasion and you threw it, and Jai Hindley just said you threw the kitchen sink at him today.
Yeah, I knew I had it in me coming into that last K and a half when it got steeper. I thought I didn't really back my sprint against him, so I just thought I'll just go with the K out and see if I can get a gap on at least Damien, to get second. But yeah, well, that's why Jai's world too. He can put the goods when he needs to, and yeah, I gave him my all, so I'm so happy with how I went.
And I believe you had Dave Sanders in the car. What's it like having a guy like him as a mentor, as a motivator?
Yeah, he hyped me up all yesterday. We did the last K&a-half 4 times in the car after dinner. He was just, super motivated, had faith in me. The whole team had faith in me. Everybody's backing me. I'm just happy to pull it off for them and for myself. It's a good day.
Well done, mate. You'll see you at the podium.
Yeah, cheers, man.
It was a fantastic day for Sebastian Berwick. Yet again, a top 3 finish on a stage with a mountaintop finish. He was 3rd to Falls Creek, 2nd to Mount Buller, and he's in 3rd place overall. 3rd on the stage, in fact, he's in 2nd place overall. 3rd on the stage today was Jay Vine. 4th today to Mount Buller was Jesse Ewart. It was then Nielsen Powless, followed by Nick Schultz and Damien Housen. Schultz riding support for Housen. Bucoli in 8th position. Garcia Fernandez in 9th, and then Labat in 10th spot. That was the top 10 on the stage. In terms of the general classification, it's Jai Hindley with a 10-second buffer over Sebastian Berwick. It's Damien Housen at 36 seconds behind. Nielsen Powless holds on to 4th. He's at 51 seconds behind. And rounding out the top 5 is Jesse Ewart. The high country is now really renowned as the destination for cycling. Having grown up in the area, did you always have that threat of fire and were well aware of it?
This summer we've had horrific bushfires, and having people come back, and it'll be good to see the trails getting filled up and the roads getting filled up with cyclists again.
You and I have had fortune to ride all over the world, and this matches anything I've done.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, we're so spoilt with the vineyards, the mountain views, it's just magic.
So the ride that we've done today, that's a road ride that I know pretty well, but you're famous for being a world champion on the mountain bike. You've got to take me off-road.
Yes, we've got Mystic Mountain Bike Park here and then 6 other amazing locations.
This is one of my favourite destinations. I'm coming back in Easter. Hopefully lots of other people come back as well and support the locals.
Cheers, mate.
Mount Buller is just 3 hours from Melbourne. It's a popular destination for walking, mountain biking and, of course, road riding in the summer months. It's part of the 7 Peaks Rise. There's over 100 kilometres also of cross-country mountain bike trails and 40 kilometres of single track winding through the snow gums and down to the valley below. It's also the home of the Australian Alpine Epic Mountain Bike Trail. Beautiful alpine village with the most on-mountain accommodation in Victoria. What a dramatic day it's been of racing. Jai Hindley holds on to that yellow jersey, also manages to win the stage. And Sebastian Berwick, who we just heard from, I'd like the attention to detail after dinner last night with his team manager, Dave Sanders. Not once, not twice, not even 3 times, but 4 times that final kilometre. That was their plan to launch the attack at that point. They tried. It didn't quite work, and it wasn't for lack of effort. It just was that Jai Hindley was strong enough to hold on. But let's not forget that Jai Hindley's a couple of years older, a couple of years stronger. Seb Berwick has a huge future in front of him. Here's a look at the final few hundred metres when Seb Berwick finally allowed that yellow jersey to slip on by. And Jai Hindley, for a little while, it looked as if he was on the ropes and could have been ever so slightly vulnerable. But he managed to get there and collect his 2nd stage victory. What a tour it's been for the Sunweb team. That's their 3rd stage win. They won the first stage, courtesy of their sprinter, Alberto Danesi. Hindley won to the top of Falls Creek. He wins today to Mount Buller. And it was just yesterday, Kaden Groves for the Mitchelton Scott team to give another team a taste of some success. No doubt their team manager, Luke Roberts, will be absolutely delighted with the position that the team finds themselves in with 1 stage remaining. Tomorrow it's around the Botanic Gardens. It's 22 laps of the circuit around the Botanic Gardens, 60.7 kilometres in total. There are intermediate sprints, 2 intermediate sprints tomorrow with time bonuses, 3 seconds to win each of those. 10 seconds if you win the stage. So mathematically, of course, Sebastian Berwick can still win this race, but by the strength that we've seen of the Sunweb team and by Jai Hindley himself, it seems highly unlikely that Sebastian Berwick will be able to overhaul that 10-second deficit. And tomorrow, though, it could still be another stage for Sunweb to make it 4 out of 5 victories, as their sprinter Alberto Danesi will start as one of the pre-stage favourites. The team manager for that squad, Luke Roberts, his father Wayne finished in 2nd position in this race. I think it was in 1976 behind Peter Bozanko. And Luke himself finished in 2nd position overall in this race in the early 2000s. So he'll be very pleased that he's had a role as a sports director to break that 2nd place run, and hopefully tomorrow for him get the win with Jai Hindley to add his name to a prestigious honour roll in the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. This is the 67th edition of the race. Optus Stage 4 starting in Mansfield, making its way through to the finish line in Mount Buller. There's still quite a few riders to make their way across the finish line. It's 15 minutes since Jai Hindley went across the finish line. They've got a fair while to go yet before the cut-off time. There is an elimination time on each of the stages. There's slightly more time, a bit more generous when it comes to these days where it is a mountaintop finish. A few riders also probably just going to roll the legs out to recuperate in readiness for tomorrow's stage. Contingent of a few riders now making their way across the line. Sam Bewley in amongst them. The Kiwi from the Mitchelton Scott team alongside another Kiwi. The Scud, Tom Scully by the looks of it, is with him for the EF Education First team. New Zealand National Championships are not too far away. Incidentally, the South African National Championships have been held recently with the individual time trial, and Daryl Impey winning the individual time trial for the 9th time. We're not too far away from getting the presentation started, as you can well appreciate that at the top of a mountaintop finish such as this one, takes a little longer for the riders to recover and get themselves ready to go for those presentations. I can hear David McKenzie winding up in the background, so we can't be too far away from getting down to those presentations where Jai Hindley will step out to collect a lot of the jerseys. Not only the stage winner of the yellow jersey, also has the Go TAFE King of the Mountains classification lead.
To present the Jayco General Classification Leaders Jersey as we go into the final stage tomorrow. Brilliant day today for Team Sunweb, Jai Hindley.
And you can see just how windy it is. That jersey flapping in the breeze as Jai Hindley steps out to collect yet another yellow jersey. As Jai knows, it's not over until it's over. He can't completely relax, but he'll feel a lot more content now than he did putting on the yellow jersey yesterday. As when he put on the yellow jersey yesterday, he was well aware of the big battle that ensued on Mount Buller. He's getting more and more practice with the champagne, and his technique improves with every day in yellow.
We'll just pause. We'll take a pause and I will come back.
A mouthful for Jai Hindley. He's in the yellow jersey, just one day remaining. Join us tomorrow around the Botanic Gardens. It's 60 kilometres worth of racing. Who will win the stage? Will Jai Hindley stay in yellow to add his name to the honour roll? Until then, it's bye for now. The high country is now really renowned as the destination for cycling. Having grown up in the area, did you always have that threat of fire and were well aware of it?
This summer we've had horrific bushfires, and having people come back, and it'd be good to see the trails getting filled.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, we're so spoilt with the vineyards, the mountain views, it's just magic.
So the ride that we've done today, that's a road ride that I know pretty well. But you're famous for being a world champion on the mountain bike. You've got to take me off-road.
Yes, we've got Mystic Mountain Bike Park here and then 6 other amazing locations.
This is one of my favourite destinations. I'm coming back in Easter. Hopefully lots of other people come back as well and support the locals.
Cheers, mate.